Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. I'm Santi. That's Sancho wearing green. Is that Eagles green? I hope so, because the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. And I know that hurts you because you are a Cowboys fan, but there was nothing sweeter than watching Patrick Mahomes and Travis Swift getting absolutely annihilated, destroyed in front of millions and millions. Oh, man. As a Chargers fan, that was the best case scenario for a Super Bowl. Sancho, how are you?
I wanted to hear some like lone kid go, "Let's go, Patrick." Remember that lone kid? We're like, "Let's go, Cena."
Oh, I remember Let's Go, Cena.
By Brock Lesnar.
I remember that. Sancho, how have you been this week, brother?
Good, man. I'm very excited to get things rolling. I feel we're on the road to WrestleMania. I feel like we passed like the first rest stop. You know what I mean? You ever been on those long road trips and you get that first stop, you get to get your chippies and you get your delicious snacks? What's your go-to gas station snack for a long road trip, Santi?
Oh, so here in Canada, we have something called an en route. So our big highway is called the 401 highway, and every about 75 kilometers, which I know is like mind-boggling. Like, what's a kilometer? Oh, what is that in freedom units? We have something called an en route that's got like a bunch of different restaurants. I personally like my Tim Hortons, getting there, grabbing a coffee, maybe a donut, breakfast sandwich, whatever it might be. I like my Tim Hortons. I'm very Canadian in that manner.
A little maple syrup to go along with it.
No, dude, we're not just about maple syrup, all right? That's the dumbest stereotype. Also, like what's so wrong about that? It's good.
Dog, how come Bret Hart's not a politician in your country yet, dude? That dude owns that country. Come on,
he doesn't.
Dude, all he has to do is like vote for me because I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there will be. I'd be like, yes, voted. I guess is that us in America, dude? We're like, we vote up celebrities. Clearly,
yeah, you guys are like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I really liked them in Terminator 2. Yeah, that's a vote.
No, them up, dude.
That doesn't really happen here in Canada. We don't really have like celebrities turning into politicians. It's always just the career-long politicians that get into the positions of power here.
Question.
Yes.
Would you vote for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson though?
Ooh, you know
That's
what?
Always been teased.
I know. Like him like running for president or whatever. Like there is clearly precedent. If you guys voted in Arnold to a major position of power in California, right?
And Donald.
And that's right, Donald. I keep forgetting he was a celebrity first before a politician. That's wild to me. Wasn't Ronald Reagan a celebrity? He was an actor, right?
Yeah, the actor. Yes.
Bro, you guys are so easy. You guys are just, hey, I'm on TV. Vote for me. This is why Mr. Beast is going to end up being your president in a little while. All right?
Jeez.
I put 20 million Americans in a circle. First to leave gets their medical debt erased. Or last to leave, I should say.
The State of Union address will have so many cuts in it. Like so many edits and stripes. Probably the most watched State of the Union of all time, brother.
Would I vote for Dwayne Johnson for a position of political power? Sure, why not? Here's the thing. That's the presence of Dwayne Johnson has worked on me for my entire life. It works now, where if he comes back, I'm like, I'm in. It worked in 2011 when he came back, and I was like, I've been out of wrestling for 4 years, but I'm in. It worked for me when he's just like, hey, you want to watch my movie from 2003 called The Rundown, which we watched over on the $15 Patreon Discord. Yeah. I absolutely went out and rented movies that specifically had Dwayne Johnson in them in the early 2000s. So I always show up for this dude. So if he wants to be the new minister of Know Your Role Boulevard, I'm in. I'll vote.
Dude, we gotta watch Scorpion King. I think that's the next movie night. I know it's gonna be like a lot of rock, but Scorpion King's a pretty dope movie for what it was.
Yeah. Well, folks, we are the Wrestling is Cool podcast, coolest wrestling podcast on the planet. We are. You could, of course, be listening to this podcast 3 days earlier than everywhere else on the planet over on patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, not only will you get the podcast 3 days early, but you get our Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews with footage so you can see exactly what it is that we're talking about on a frame-by-frame basis. You get our 5 weekly match watch-alongs. You get the Undertaker WrestleMania watch-alongs. You get the currently ongoing Royal Rumble watch-alongs and more So please go check it out. Patreon.com/SantiZab. It is growing like crazy. The best value in wrestling. I really do believe that for $5, 5 smackers gets you all of the content. If you want to support even more, if you want to be one of our producers and get your name read out in the credits at the end of every episode, you can do so. And it also gives you access to our movie nights once a month. We just watched The Rundown. Honestly, probably the best movie that we've watched so far in Match Club.
Man.
I think it was
Little Helper.
No, Santa's Little Helper was straight ass, but The Rundown was good. But folks, yeah, go check it out. Patreon.com/SantiZab in the description or wherever it is that you might be listening to this. But Sancho, let's get talking about wrestling here, about WWE. Some big moves do be happening in the world of the WWE. We got our first, shall we call it bullet fired, that is leading us to our first properly announced match at WrestleMania.
The first domino to fall.
Yeah. That's literally the same analogy.
No,
you literally just took the same thing I said and just tried to Sancho-fy it.
But the
stealing my thunder.
It feels much more hostile than the first domino falling, you know? The first domino falling means there'll be consequences and subsequent events.
Sancho, we are 6 minutes into this episode, and you are already fighting for the sake of fighting. This is just not. You absolutely are. The first bullet fire. Actually, it's the first domino falling. What even kind of counter argument is that?
I feel like I'm gonna chat GPT this. Let's find other things to say. All right, continue.
We had the first bullet fired, the first domino falling, the first pepperoni slice eaten. I don't know what you want to call this, but we had Jey Uso officially challenged Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So the big question that was looming was, who is Jey going to pick? And now that is officially done. In terms of Jey Gunther, I know that at least I've been quite critical of like just my lack of interest in this. That hasn't changed, but I feel like they took a good first baby step at one, announcing this really early, so that we can have 2 months of build, right? If this was 4 weeks, 3 weeks before WrestleMania, I feel like, we got a major steep hill to climb to make this exciting. But with 2 months, if you can't make this exciting in 2 months, I don't know what to tell you, brother. I don't know what to tell you. But I like the beatdown. I like the brawl. They're taking the correct steps forward, but I will continue to say this. Jey versus Gunther in the limelights of WrestleMania just isn't anywhere near as sexy as like 7 different other options that I could put in front of your plate. Do you want to play this game, Sancho? I have a game for you.
Let's play it. I'm down to play it.
All right. Gunther versus Jey or Cody Rhodes versus Cena. What's the main event?
Sure.
No, we're going to go through a bunch.
Okay, Cena and Rhodes.
Okay, versus Cena versus Punk. No, sorry, Cody versus Punk.
Okay, is this all going to be Cody stuff versus better than Jey? Okay,
nope.
Cody and Punk.
Okay, Seth Rollins versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns.
With no belt or a belt?
Either. Why not? Either or.
I'll take that.
You'll still take it, right? Okay. Let's get a little bit harder here. Let's get a little bit harder here. Night 1 main event. Jey versus Gunther or the trilogy match of Charlotte versus Rhea?
Charlotte and Rhea. I'll take that.
Okay, I would too. What if they decide to go in a different direction with Rhea and they give us Rhea versus Bianca? What would you take as the Night 1 main event?
I'll take Jey and Gunther then.
Okay, you'll take Jey and Gunther in that scenario.
Yeah,
okay, sure. What if it's just Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns? Grudge match.
I'll take Jey and Gunther over that one.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, because it's for the title. The title makes that a little bit spicy.
Okay, fair enough. What if we're gonna do Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton Night 1?
I'll still take Jey and Gunther over that. I think the trilogy is what separates most. I mean, Bianca is still a main eventer and still a headliner, and she's main evented WrestleMania, but it's the trilogy that has a bigger sell, you know.
Okay. Now, what if I were to tell you, let's take all of those same matches, remove Punk from the scenarios that I gave you, and let's say the favor that gets cashed in is that Punk gets added to this triple threat. Is that automatically a night one main eventer in your eyes?
Yes,
I
mean
agree.
it'd be the first time that Punk main evented a WrestleMania. It'd be by hook and crook. So that's the thing, though. Is I have two questions for you, sir.
Mhm.
Is your animosity, or lack of a better word, animosity towards Jay versus Gunther, your disgust? Is it because it happened at Saturday Night Main Event?
It's partly because of it.
Okay.
If I want to unwrap that a little bit more, it's that I've seen this enough times to say that it's not that good to warrant WrestleMania. Right? Like,
Okay.
people are like, well, you saw Cody versus Gunther WrestleMania 39 and you were fine with it at WrestleMania 40. Brother, did you see their amazing match at WrestleMania 39? That's why I'm fine with Charlotte versus Rhea again, because we know that their offerings have been like land shifting. The 36 and 30 and 39 match were unbelievably good. The problem isn't just a rematch, Sancho, as you're maybe alluding to, that I just saw it at Saturday Night's Main Event. It's not just that.
Yes.
It's partly that. It's partly the fact that it was really recent, but it is because mostly what we have seen has been good, but not like that good where I'm like, yeah, I want to see this again in a WrestleMania stage. By the way, just to clarify, I'm in. I'm not going to be sourpuss about it. Like, all right, this is what we're getting.
It's a healthy conversation to have.
I do think it's a fair conversation to have. That's why I laid out a bunch of different WrestleMania scenarios, and I wanted to hear right now, without the build, you mentioned that many of those are ahead of Jay versus Gunther, but the big silver lining here is that Jay versus Gunther has 2 months.
Yes, and I think as the things that my second question that I wanted to follow up with you, is it because Jey Uso as a singles star is coming off a pretty bad WrestleMania match with his brother?
I'm holding that less against him than a lot of people.
Just we just gotta like, I just want to massage it for a little bit. You know what I mean?
I see that narrative. I do see it a lot, but it wouldn't be the first time that I've seen somebody go from stinker to like winner. Like we've seen that before. So I'm not holding that against him. It was a whole year ago, and it's almost an entirely different Jey Uso altogether as well. He's nowhere near as popular then as he is now as well.
Is it because, and again, I'm just trying to figure out for the people that do have a problem with it. Right?
Sure.
This would be a great, one day in the future, Wrestling School, I would love to have a call-in show to field these questions to the people, right? Because we are the wrestling pod for the people. We are. Is it that because Jay did not pick Gunther and Gunther forced his hand, that is kind of like a, ooh, you know? Or is that just part of the build?
I think it's just part of the build, but like you do point out a goofy aspect of that story is like, Jay, don't pick me, Jay. And then proceeds to beat him up. It's like, well, now he like prison yard rules. He has to fight back.
There is less things in wrestling you get in a fight for. I could be talking to you and a third wrestler would come in the room. I'd be like, hey, man, don't you see I'm having a conversation in a public place? How dare you interrupt me? We're going to fight today. That's usually the thing with most of Triple H's feuds from random matches.
Dude, that's all of NXT, by the way. That's how NXT feuds and matches, especially in the women's locker room. There's always a segment where somebody butts into a conversation. It's like, well, now I want to kill you.
It's like, wait a minute. It's like, it's so do you have to knock first in order to be invited to the conversation? But when it comes down to Jay versus Gunther, my question for you is, okay, this is what we're getting, right? We're going to get Jay versus Gunther. The graphic itself looks amazing. I love the 2 cards. They look really cool.
That was nice.
Sick. I'm hoping we get one where it has like a full deck of hands, like a fan out of all the cards, and all the cards flip over, and we have all the wrestlers, like I'm thinking like a showcase, a tag team showcase. Those always bang really well, and that'd be a great way. That'd be a great way to have all the tag teams from SmackDown at least. A match.
Before you go into your thought, for those that are listening, maybe the younger viewers, go back and look up the WrestleMania 22 arena. It's the last WrestleMania in a stadium, and surrounding it were like face banners of every wrestler that was being featured at that WrestleMania, and it looked awesome. I hope they do something like this at Allegiant Stadium with banners of the cards of every wrestler on the show.
Now, if I was at merch in WWE, I would sell playing decks of all the wrestlers, like an actual. That'd be sick,
great
right?
question. Okay, who's the ace? Yeah. Who's the ace?
It's Cody Rhodes.
It's Cody, right? Okay. Yeah. Who's the
Cody
king?
and Roman.
Roman, who's the queen? Oh, that's easy.
That's easy. It's Rhea.
Oh, I was gonna say Charlotte, brother. It's the queen. I feel like I feel like Rhea's a jack.
Maybe not, but like maybe for the red suit, and then the black suit would be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I forget about suits and whatnot. Okay. Who's the two?
Who's the two?
Yeah.
Tozawa.
Ooh, I like that. Anyways, I've interrupted you like 5 times. You had a question or something.
No, that's fine. My question for you is, since this is what we're getting, and I don't want to be, because I see other talking heads and they're like, they're just dragging it into the mud without offering. I always say that, bless you there, sir. I always say that if you have criticism, then at least try to offer something so that maybe you can be criticized. I mean, hell, I get criticized for my hot takes all the time. So my
every day, brother.
Every day.
It's literally every day.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. My question for you is, how can we make Jay and Gunther interesting via a gimmick, a stipulation? May I go first quickly?
Please.
Considering that Triple H's kind of MO when it comes to booking is less is more in terms of the card, I think this WrestleMania already feels like a very small card WrestleMania compared to Vince McMahon versus like a couple years ago. I think we're going to get very few matches, and because of that, Jay and Gunther will be an I Quit match.
Ooh, can I see your I Quit match and present to you an Iron Man match instead? I just don't like I Quit matches or last man standing matches, especially with a character like Jay. We've made the joke before that like you literally have to rip out their throat and chop them in half with a chainsaw for them to even consider saying I quit or staying down for the 10 count. Like, I Quit matches and last man standing matches have been, in my opinion, just mostly ruined.
I know that because of Super Seth and things like that in Super Cena, but I think this is going to be a different kind of I Quit match for Jey Uso, considering that he's going to be beaten down. Like, think of Mankind minus the headshots of The Rock. Like, I think it's going to be that, like, brother, please, someone come in and stop this, because Gunther is hitting him with everything but the kitchen sink. And Jey Uso's at his best when he's the underdog, and I think we got kind of inklings of that when he faced Drew McIntyre, where he like collapsed. And I for some reason, I always, for my ideas and bookings and things of that sort, or where's the WWE going to go, WWE likes to test things early, like months and months in advance, and they plant the seed. And I think they're planting the seed that Jey Uso is going to be so resilient, and he's never going to give up, and that he believes in himself and the power of the people, and he's going to will him across the finish line, versus I'm Superman. He's not Superman, right? He is more of a what do we like to call it? The Spider-Man level of hero, right? The Daredevil level of hero.
He's a neighborhood hero, not a planetary hero.
Yeah. And because he's going to go up against a planetary villain in Gunther, or like the Juggernaut, so to speak. I think that's where that is going to be there for the I Quit match.
I mean, it's an interesting thought, Jane and I Quit match, because let's not forget the I Quit match against Roman Reigns in the pandemic era.
That was fire.
Right. And I could absolutely see Jimmy coming out to throw the towel.
Big Jim. Yeah.
Right. Only for Jay to be like, no, Oos. Don't throw in the towel, Oos. No, don't, Oos. I could see that being a cool callback to that match all of those years ago. I love the idea that you're painting. It's just I know that the execution of these types of matches in recent memory have been groan-inducing. They just kind of make you like, really, like, what is this? I Quit matches and last man standing matches are, in recent memory for babyfaces, about as fictional as wrestling gets. I've noticed it teeters on the ridiculous. In the last like handful of I Quit matches and in last man standing matches.
The difference is Gunther could actually wrestle to the point where he will make you believe it's still in a wrestling set. Like, Gunther could hit you with like a power bomb and then put you in a Boston Crab. I think the kind of saving grace, to your point, would be Gunther's hubris, where Gunther would toy with Jay. Like, see, I told you, Jay, you are not a single star, Jay. You are just a tag team wrestler. You're not on my level. And he will just play with him the entire time, which has been his Achilles heel in the past.
It was literally his Achilles heel against Sami Zayn.
Yeah, and when he was messing with his wife, if they have Jey Uso's family at ringside, I mean that would add to it as well. My question for to follow up with that: what is your gimmick or stipulation? Is it a ladder match? Is it a Inferno match? Is it a Hell in a
Yeah.
Cell? What would take it to that WrestleMania levels for you?
I mean, for WrestleMania levels, I love the idea of a ladder match. I really do. Iron Man would be cool, like a 30-minute Iron Man match. I would absolutely be down for. Especially because that would
Best like falls, like most falls in 30 minutes.
yeah, most falls in 30 minutes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what Iron Man is. I like that idea as well. It works well to Gunther's ring general gimmick as well. I have you for 30 whole minutes. Yeah, like I like that could work for me. I would go ladder match or Iron Man, but I would not do a 1 hour Iron Man match. 30 minutes is more than enough for this type of match.
Yeah, but that's how like I feel that will happen for a Triple H level of he's gonna have less is more type vibe.
So one of the fascinating things about Gunther picking Jay is that it now gives us a new big question mark to try and answer. And it's an exciting one because now that we know that Jay is going after Gunther, it completely opens up Cody Rhodes, who's currently in a feud with Solo Sikoa again. So now whoever wins the Elimination Chamber is basically guaranteeing themselves the night 2 main event of WrestleMania. And that changes things a lot.
It does. But do you feel that if you win the Royal Rumble, why would you go for the secondary prize, so to speak?
I
Would
mean,
you want a shot at the undisputed title?
you would think so, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you'd think
continue.
so. Yeah. And the reason why I think that this is now fascinating is because, like, if, for example, it was Gunther that was the prize up for grabs, I feel like it would have narrowed the field of who could have won or actually, no, opposite, expanded the field. You could have had more people go after Gunther, a Drew McIntyre going after Gunther. Let's say that they have Logan Paul, right? Logan Paul could have actually realistically won Elimination Chamber and gone after Gunther. Now, a Logan Paul doesn't seem as realistic as a winner to go after a Cody Rhodes for a night 2 closer. So I feel like now the options have now narrowed significantly to the Cenas of the world, to a CM Punk, maybe a Seth Rollins. Now the options are less, but now I feel like we can start to get more excited about the prospect of who Cody Rhodes is going to be facing at WrestleMania.
That's for sure. That's like I'm still perplexed on why if you had the first pick, it's like if you're at the coin toss in overtime and you didn't take the ball first. Yeah, that's what I feel that Jay deferred. And that's just, it blows my mind that why wouldn't Jay go after Cody? Of course, the WWE is trying to say like, well, his hand was forced because of Gunther, but I would have still liked that idea. I feel when they kind of put Jay versus Gunther down on paper first, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of took the wind out of the sails of Chamber a little bit. Like you said, like I wanted that idea of like, who is it going to, I like that idea of anyone could win Chamber versus like 2 or 3 people can win Chamber. I even had this idea that flashed in my mind that what if Chamber ends in a double pin and now we have a triple threat type of situation? Because anything could happen because I feel like this WrestleMania needs so much help. Because you have to think about it. Last year's Mania, dude, we were like on the super highway. We were flying to that Mania, brother. I feel like we are forgetting how amazing that ride was and how every twist and turn it took us on a different direction.
It was the coolest 3-month stretch that I've ever witnessed as a wrestling fan. It was.
I feel like we're not set up for that same kind of ride. This is going to be more of a solid par for a course for WrestleMania. And it's not a bad thing, but it just feels so different. And I think like if your first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 40 or 39 to 40, right? Let's say you jumped on the train in 39. You're like, well, I guess I'm not really as hyped for 41 just yet. So I think this is where it's important for Chamber to do that. And I think Chamber made the right choice for being Cody to be that big prize at the end of the day so early so we could get a big build up to it. So that'll allow the CM Punks, the Romans to cut their promos on Cody. And then they could be like, oh, wait a minute. Why are you looking past me? Why are you looking at Cody? You still have to go through X amount of wrestlers. So there's so much like stuff to chew on by having Cody as the golden goose at the end of the rainbow versus, well, is Jay going to pick Cody for Soul? Because I think that could have got a little bit tiresome at the end of the day if you were going to look at it the other coin. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of upset.
Over what?
Over what?
Yeah.
Over this hypocrisy that you have.
Hey, man.
That there's this. Let me give you some names: Damian Priest, Io Sky, Bianca Belair, L.A. Knight, Jacob Fatu, Braun Strowman, Logan Paul, Rey Mysterio. So many of these current superstars having to work their way. CM Punk, Sami Zayn, having to work their way. Drew McIntyre, having to work their way into the chamber, and you got this aging legend who's a movie star, Hollywood, coming in after a loss at Royal Rumble in a press conference saying, I'm going to go film a movie in Budapest. I'm going to go away for a while. By the way, I'm claiming my spot for the chamber. I think I deserve that as someone who's given so much to this business. I think it's best for business to be the champion here, even though this is my last year. I would like to win my 17th title so I can shake the hand of the 18th title winner one day.
Amazing line.
Oh, great line for sure. But how is this not seen as a heel move? When last year we had a legend, a Hall of Famer, one of the best of all time, Mount Rushmore, de-rockify himself, come on down from his Hollywood palace to grace us with his presence to go, should I sit at the bar or should I sit at the head of the table? We give him a red carpet and then we take it away when he wants the main event, when he claims the spot at the main event. It is a hypocrisy, sir, and I am disgusted with you John Cena fans that think it's okay for John Cena just because he is retiring to get the keys to everything that he wants. No, sir.
So
No.
let me get this straight here for a second.
Yes.
What were some of those names? It was CM Punk. It was Drew McIntyre, Io Sky, Sami Zayn, Rey Mysterio. Some crazy names that Rey Mysterio. Crazy names that you threw out there.
Crazy names.
I don't even need to Google this. You can take all of those people, count their world titles, and it's still less than John Cena's tally. So that just remember who the hell you're talking about here for a second, because it sounds like you're trying to compare John Cena to some Joe Schmo off the street coming in and taking this spot. You are talking about the GOAT of the last 20 years of professional wrestling, all right? So before you try to trivialize why is this guy in the chamber, remember just who the hell's name you put in your mouth. That is John freaking Cena. Number two, nice little straw man argument. Cena's coming in to take a spot at the chamber. That's exactly like The Rock coming back and taking the Royal Rumble winner spot, the main event WrestleMania. Sancho, get yourself checked out. Get yourself checked out, because I think you might have some straw in your brain. Are you a scarecrow? Because I don't think that you're human. I don't think that there's a nice little soft pillowy brain in there with that comparison. How dumb of a comparison is that? Are you trying to tell me that The Rock stealing Papa Santi let you speak? Now you let Papa Santi speak. Papa Santi is speaking. You're telling me that a man from Hollywood coming in to take the Royal Rumble winner spot at WrestleMania is at all comparable to a guy saying, I deserve a spot to earn a spot? Ridiculous. Absolutely buffoonery.
Third point is, when a man who's won multiple Super Bowls went to Tampa Bay, did he go, I think Tampa Bay deserves a spot to earn a chance to win the Super Bowl at the Super Bowl? No, the GOAT Tom Brady worked his way through the regular season, playoffs to get to that chance to play for the Super Bowl as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yeah, with the best team in the league. All right, bringing it and making it better with Gronkowski. This dude super jammed his team with more stars. And yeah, of course he made it to the frickin' Super Bowl, because it's Tom Brady. You expect these things. You expect these things from the greats. And I'm going to expect it from John Cena as well. What you don't understand is the nuances here, Sancho. You don't understand. You're not really tasting the tannins of this delicious wine that is an aging John Cena, who for the first time in his his career is cashing in a chip. This man carried the company for 20 plus years through some of the worst and darkest times that this company has seen. That man was there at all times. And for once he is saying, I want something in return. And he is getting that thing in return. And it's a chamber spot, a 1 in 6 chance to go to WrestleMania. And you want to say that that's the same as The Rock stealing a Royal Rumble winner spot? Sancho, to you I say, for shame, I do declare.
Was given the spot, by the way, from Cody Rhodes, all right? In kayfabe
given,
world, all right?
Given, the cuckening. That is not given. That is taken.
Cody said, I know somebody that could beat you.
Dude, now thinking back on that was so stupid. That was the dumbest thing. I plan on taking that title away from you, Roman.
But not this year.
Why is he Trump? Did I turn into Trump?
He did.
I know a guy. I know a great guy that could take that title from you. He can take that title from you at any
He could take it from you.
He could take it from you. I've seen him take it from other people before. He's a great guy.
Look, my other ending, I do declare, Your Honor, my final kind of statement there is that the one and only, the best in the world, CM Punk, said the same thing I did when I told you, isn't it interesting that Damian Priest has to qualify for the chamber while Cena doesn't? He said the same thing. He listed everybody and he goes, except one guy who could just claim
angry old man Punk that can't get along with anybody says something bad and you get along. What do you mean what's happened to me? I've always been this man. I've always been like this. I've always been the Cena guy. Look at this. I've got the spinner title right here, baby. What do you mean what happened to me? This has been me all along. If you don't like me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best, Sancho.
Dog, like when CM Punk came back, you're like, all right, dude. CM Punk give the keys of the kingdom. CM Punk, you would see is the best in the world.
Not the Cena's kingdom.
As soon as my old school, your boyhood hero returns, you're like, give him everything, brother.
Everything.
My point to end it all is I know I jest and I know I bait. But it's a shame that we didn't get Cena have a match to qualify for the chamber, as I said last podcast, because it would have been a good opportunity for a Carmelo Hayes.
I agree in that sense. But don't you think that it's more buzzworthy to have a guy teeter the line of doing maybe the most heel thing that he's ever done?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, it absolutely is. And that was definitely the intention of it. That's why he literally started the press conference by saying, let's see who can get this headline out first, right? Like that was clearly what he was going for. And to me, that's created a lot more conversation about what's next for Cena, as opposed to, it would have been cool getting a Carmelo Hayes out there to lose to Cena or whatever it might be. But I do believe that I do declare that we're getting a bit more, mental brain power out of trying to decipher this version of John Cena going into Elimination Chamber, as if it compared to, hustle, loyalty, respect. I won my spot. I earned my spot. I really like the juxtaposition of like the complete two polar opposites. Remember Raw Netflix? He's just like, I don't deserve anything. I have to earn it. Royal Rumble is my first opportunity. And then immediately after a heartbreak being like, yeah, fuck that. I do deserve things. I'm taking an Elimination Chamber spot. I found that really intriguing to see the coin flip.
I see that. And I mean, enjoying this because from the very beginning, when they announced his retirement tour, I think we're going to get a different Cena that is going to feel desperate. And I think he's going to start doing things out of character or what we're normally seeing. And he is going to be more human, like you just pointed out. And I think that to me is the most interesting thing. And I like the idea of other wrestlers like CM Punk calling him out. I think there will be a spot where Cena is going to be the target for all the other wrestlers, because all the other wrestlers earned a spot at that chamber and this guy didn't. So it's going to be interesting to see how that relationship plays out, and I hope it does play out. I hope the WWE
It needs to.
I think WWE needs to not forget that point, because they have been forgetting things lately. Like they bring up this whole thing about the addendum to Cody and KO, and they forget about it. So I'm hoping that they really bring that home a little bit. Because when Cena loses this chamber, which he has a strong opportunity to lose it again, that would be interesting to see how he crashes out.
Yeah.
Because it could lead to a crash out. But in order to save this Mania, Santi, Cena does need to win this chamber.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool.
For me.
Yeah. You know what I want to see from Cena in this chamber? I don't just want to see this demeanor change like from promo and character. I want to see it physically as well. I want when Cena's chamber pods to open to it feel like the Terminator is about to enter. Because you know how like Cena can be kind of goofy and he's just all of a sudden like very physically overacting, like, okay, yeah, let's go.
He's vaudeville-y.
Yeah. I want him to be stoic. Like that chamber door opens and he's just staring daggers into people. I'd be
ECW,
more,
one night only?
Sure. Something like that. Where he's just it's deadly focused as opposed to this like cartoonish version of himself that we saw even in the Royal
Money in
Rumble.
the Bank. 2011 Money in the Bank, Cena?
Sure. Yeah. When the stakes are high, right? Like you're pointing out the two biggest failures in John Cena's career, right? Losing to CM Punk at Money in the Bank and losing to Rob Van Dam at One Night Stand.
Your favorite wrestler?
Not my favorite wrestler. Rob Van Dam is not my favorite wrestler, but I don't hate him. You keep trying to create this narrative that I hate Rob Van Dam. And literally your only argument is that I don't like singlets.
Airbrush singlets.
Airbrush singlets, apparently. Specifically airbrush singlets. But I want to see changes from Cena. And now that we've seen kind of step one of what this version of Cena looks like, I feel like there is, on my end, a lot of intrigue as to what that looks like. Because is there hypocrisy? Absolutely, 100%. But it's the intriguing part. It's that it's hypocrisy from the guy that has always fought against hypocrisy. That to me is what's selling me on this.
Reminds me of a tale of when people say Superman doesn't kill, and what did they do? One of the first returns of Superman, he had a guy, he killed General Zod. So it's like, what's going to happen when the Superman is pushed to the brink, which is an argument that Bray Wyatt was trying to present for the longest
John
time.
Cena is what we're about to get. We're about to get the injustice version of John Cena. Maybe, people keep talking about Cody Lander. What if it's Cena Lander, right? Like they're not too far off in terms of like, the cartoonishly level of good guy that Cena and Cody are. I'd rather see Cody Lander because but like maybe we could be seeing Cena kind of step into those shoes.
Let's play this scenario. If Cena wins the chamber and he goes against Cody, you could do face versus face, or you could do this other thing that they're kind of hinting at. Remember, planting the seed, where Cody's too heavy for the crown is completely broken him. And John Cena is the John Cena is the kind of guy that could save the WWE from Cody Lander.
I'd want him to lose at that point, though. I want Cody Lander to lose if it's against a Cody Lander. I mean, come on, that'd be cool.
There's just so many scenarios that could go off this chamber because they made Cody the grand prize. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a bummer though, because I like the idea of Drew winning this chamber. I like the idea of I know, but I like the idea of Logan winning the chamber because, dude, he actually. Just a quick pivot, real quick. Logan and Ray was awesome, man.
Awesome.
What a great Raw match it was. The reason why I liked it the most is the biggest criticism of Logan's career has been all his matches have been choreographed, all his matches have been pre-planned, and all his matches have months of practice and training. Whereas I felt for the first time this Rey Mysterio match wasn't really planned out too far, probably like a couple of weeks, because Rey Mysterio was calling the match in the ring. And Logan was listening. There would be a lot of moments where they'd be down and they'd be talking to each other. And you could hear that Ray is kind of like giving instructions, and then they kind of planned it out. And for the first time,
and I need you to give me your finisher right here. I'm going to hit you with the 619. And when I go for the splash, make sure you get your knees up, okay?
The things that Ray was saying in that match was hilarious. But there was a little bit of ring psychology from that match too. And there was a little bit of give and take, and it was hard hitting. And I enjoyed that match so much so that if this is a taste of full-time Logan Paul, then I'm excited for the future.
Yeah.
And he got a in-ring moment with CM Punk that really did really well with, and that I don't like the crowd booing him out of existence, not like Dom, because I actually want to hear what Logan has to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I will say, like, just to quickly touch on that promo, it felt very on purpose one-dimensional, where like
Because he's getting booed out of the building.
not even just that, like Punk like did nothing. Like he Punk could lay in, like Punk could destroy a Logan Paul, but like he kept it very surface level. Like, oh yeah, I know you're so focused about getting into Elimination Chamber, but you first got to get through the 619. To me, that told me that there's maybe no plans to actually do anything with Logan eliminating CM Punk. Like, there's no, at least anywhere in the near future, that they plan doing anything with CM Punk and Logan Paul.
I think Punk and Logan will clash at the Chamber hard.
Yeah, sure. I think that's probably at most. But yeah, it's funny to think that Jey Uso picking Gunther both gives us amazing scenarios now for Cody, while also unfortunately narrowing the field of scenarios as well. Because like we said, like if the prize was Gunther, tell me that Logan doesn't become a favorite to win that. He does. He all of a sudden does, especially at that interaction between Gunther and Logan Paul right before Royal Rumble. He becomes maybe not one of the favorites. That might have been the wrong choice.
Not like a heavy favorite.
Yeah, but he becomes an option.
He has decent odds. He has decent odds.
Yeah, he becomes a realistic option. He becomes a realistic option, and now I don't think that he becomes a realistic option if Cody is the guy that we're going after. Now,
well. I was going to say, like, I think what the WWE is painting us into this scenario where they're kind of leading us to this water is that CM Punk, Roman, and Seth hate each other to the point where they cause each other's demise. Could that happen again? And if it happens again, who's going to benefit from those three clashing? Sure. You have Drew, Logan, and Cena would be the only ones. If you had to do all the process of elimination, Cena would be the guy that kind of benefits the most from that crash out between those three.
Sure.
Quickly before we pivot too hard away from Chamber, do you think they're going to have a last chance opportunity to join the Chamber?
It doesn't seem that way, because when you look at the matches that have been announced, all of them have enough winners to fill out the Chamber. So unless they decide to start as a triple threat, which they've actually done before, I think. Don't quote me on that. This is not the show about facts. Then there is no mathematical way. Like for the women, there's no mathematical way to say like EO gets in, because they've decided to do something else entirely with EO. So I'm going to say no. I don't think that they do last chances.
It's interesting though how they gave EO. I knew the Rhea would give her a title shot. I thought it'd be a Chamber, but that tells me that these Chamber matches are going to go really, really long again, and it's going to be another 4-card match.
Dude, that
4 Chamber.
The Rhea giving this match to EO, the Raw after Elimination Chamber, tells me that Bianca Belair is on the table. Like that they might actually pull the trigger on Bianca versus Rhea Ripley.
Really?
Yeah. But the thing is, the only reason I want to say no is because Bianca has that planetary threat potentially looming over her head, Jade Cargill, right?
You think Triple H knows who did it?
I don't know, man. They're still investigating. But there's still that like looming shadow over Bianca Belair. And what's interesting now is that, you mentioned earlier that this Mania doesn't quite have the same pizzazz, the buildup at least, compared to last year. And you're right. And I feel like the reason that last year's Mania had so much pizzazz is because they telegraphed very early on where things were going to go with the final boss, with Roman, with Seth Rollins getting involved, with Cody. They telegraphed that pretty well. And then, of course, with the women's Royal Rumble winner, we knew instantly, of course she's going after EO. I think what makes this Mania build fascinating is the level of uncertainty, the amount of fog of war, where it's really difficult to see 2 feet in front of you where WWE is going to go, compared to last year, where you could see where they were going to go very clearly, and that was part of the hype, part of the excitement. Well, this year you can't quite yet see where things are going to go. I'm trying to be optimistic here and say that WrestleMania 41 is going to be sneaky good. like how WrestleMania 31 was, because the build up to WrestleMania 30 was insane with the Yes movement, Cena and Bray Wyatt stuff, the Brock Lesnar and Taker. Like that was one of those manias where you're like, holy smokes, the build up to this is insane. And then next year's Mania is just like, yo, the build up is pretty garbaggio. And then it ends up being a sneaky, unbelievably good WrestleMania. I'm hoping that WrestleMania 41 channels the vibes of WrestleMania 31.
Can I read you the card for? Do you want to read the card of WrestleMania 30 or WrestleMania 40? Because I want to. What I'm trying to walk you down here is, when did these storylines start to manifest? Like, when did we start getting clear from the fog to go, ooh, this is going to be the road we're going down? Do you want to go down that 40? Let me read you that card.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. We had Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Now, from what I remember, that one was, it felt that happened after Chamber, right?
So
Like
Becky won Chamber, but they were planting seeds plenty of time before that with face-offs that wouldn't manifest to anything, with a big face-off only to have Becky Lynch then go to NXT. So they kept doing this like on purpose, like keeping them away, that built hype towards their match. And
that one, Becky struggled in the promos, and then Becky got sick at WrestleMania. So it was like a very interesting match.
Becky got sick. Rhea had the panic attack.
Yeah. And then we have the 6-pack tag team ladder match. And I think they're going to redo that again. Not the ladder match per se, but they're going to have all the SmackDown guys go at it again. And that's easy. And then we had the Rey Mysterio versus the Andrade versus Santos and Dirty
Throwaway match. Like they barely built to that. There was the Santos Escobar heel turn. But then all of the addedness, like remember they added Dom like literally like 2 weeks before it, and then they added Andrade the week before.
Because we said that you could always throw in Dom and Ray, and it would be, people would watch it. Then we had Jey Uso versus Jimmy. Good Lord, that happened in that night. Ugh.
Yeah.
That one only I felt got built because remember they started out on 1 and 2 at Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And we were like, ooh, we would like to see this, and then the yeet no yeet. But man, 11 minutes, that one felt like a 20-minute match.
It felt so long, man.
It felt so long. Jade Gargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi versus Damage Control. I feel like that one was like a way to get Jade on the card without overexposing.
But Bianca and Damage Control had been going on for a really long time. That had been going on for a really long time.
They were like 2 harassing her at every turn. Right. Yeah. And that, I wonder if they're going to do something with Bayley and Bianca. Not saying at Mania, but at least be part of the buildup, you know? Then we had Sami Zayn defeating Gunther. That one was built up. Ooh,
no, it wasn't.
Sami and Gunther?
Dude, they had like 3 weeks and everybody's like, what are we doing here? Why wasn't it Chad Gable who they already had? Dude, this was part of the complaint. There was no build to it. And I remember everyone's review was that Sami Zayn's entrance did better for building up the match than the actual build-up.
Sami going for the IC title was built up for the longest time.
Not really.
Gunther being the Titan, that was built up forever.
That was that's it. That's 2 years.
Right, yeah. So from what I remember, we all wanted Chad, but this is an interesting conversation to really think about it. I feel like Jey Uso is the Sami Zayn of this because there's other better matchups for Gunther than Jay. Does that make sense?
Sure. And I mean, hell, you even described the match between Jay and Gunther going the same way that Gunther and Sammy did with like the hubris of Gunther. There's a lot of similarities there, but 2 months to build is way better than, dude, they literally built that in like 3 weeks.
That entrance was fire though, right?
Dude, like I said, the entrance did a better job at building Sami Zayn for this than the actual feud.
And then we had the Bloodline, the whole thing with Bloodline main event.
We know that.
All right, next night. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins.
That was a long time. But what's interesting is that Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, it was like a tale of two halves because Drew McIntyre became an entirely different character after the Raw Day 1 loss.
Yep.
And it felt like this WrestleMania was, even though it was a match that just happened, it felt new because it was a new demeanor of Drew McIntyre.
And remember, this felt like if you wanted to think about it, where we were at Rumble, before Rumble, we were going like Seth Rollins versus CM Punk at Mania. Remember?
Yep.
And then CM Punk gets hurt, and this is like it was a pivot,
big pivot.
Right. And Seth Rollins was hurt this Mania too. And then Damian Priest cashes in. This is the Pride versus the Final Testament.
Yeah,
Final Testament.
Yeah, that was about they built that in like after Chamber basically.
And it was like hey Bobby, we know you wanted the main event, being part of WrestleMania 39, and of course the Bray Wyatt thing. Here's a bone right here, the Philadelphia Street Fight. I hated that ending. LA Knight AJ, ooh, that was built up nicely, brother.
Yeah,
Come on now.
Yeah. That started in December when AJ came back.
Yep. The good old home invasion. Ooh, that was a really solid one. And that one wasn't for anything. That was just
just two guys that hate each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. I don't think we're gonna get that kind of match here at this Mania. Do you?
Could be Seth and Roman. It legit could be that if they move CM Punk somewhere else.
Or it could be the Kevin Owens and Sammy thing too.
Kevin Owens, Randy, I could see that.
Yeah. Then we had Bailey and Io, which is the Royal Rumble selection.
Yep.
All right. And then we had Cody Rhodes and Roman. Oh, I'm sorry, Logan Paul and Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. That one wasn't different because Logan wasn't around.
Yeah, that one's tough to really even discuss the build because, like you said, Logan wasn't there.
Then Cody Rhodes and Roman, which is the finish the story.
Yeah. So many of those matches were telegraphed long before WrestleMania, right? So that's what I was saying earlier, that WrestleMania 40, you could see, on this day, I see clearly the light at the end of the tunnel, and it was a really appetizing and appealing light. With this WrestleMania here, I mean, until Jay picked Gunther, I couldn't see jack shit.
So here's the 8 matches at WrestleMania 30 to quickly bring up, since there's only 8.
Sure.
We had Daniel Bryan and Triple H, which was
literally built up for like 8 months.
I know, right?
Literally like 8 months. And then same with the main event. You could just toss that in there. That was like an 8-month build.
Then we had the Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. What?
Well, you have to. I know that sounds random.
That's a weird pair. Yeah,
but it's a weird pair. Yeah, but it's actually, if you think about it, it's the Shield versus the Authority, which then sets up the Shield versus Evolution. So there was a big narrative there. It was the Shield that helped Daniel Bryan to surpass the Authority and get him this spot at WrestleMania. So even though it seems like a random pairing, UNH Outlaws and Kane were very much a part of Triple H's gang.
It was only a 3-minute match.
Squash.
Cesaro winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale.
Dude, when that was hype.
That was hype, dude.
That was so hype.
Spot. Golly, dude. The Swiss Superman who picked up Big Show like nothing.
So hype.
Woo! Man, they went nowhere with Cesaro after that, dude. I thought this was it. I mean, I think they tried, though, with Cesaro, to be fair. Like, they put him in a lot of situations where he could succeed, but...
They tried, but like, not really.
Well, it's like if I were doing a report and I would go down and it's like, well, did you try with Cesaro? I'm like, why? Yes, we did. Look at the matches with him. But when you looked at it, when you live it, you'd be like, well, they didn't really give him promos. He wasn't that great of a promo in Vince's eyes. And that's it, dude. Cesaro had the biggest, climb to like convince Vince, like, hey man, I'm legit. It's thundering now, so my power goes out. That's why. It's not the Wyatt Six because they haven't been on TV in weeks. John Cena defeating Bray Wyatt. Ooh.
Yeah, that was like right after Rumble.
Mm-hmm. That was a 22-minute match. We gotta watch that match again,
dude. That's I really like that match. That's underrated.
Is that the one where he dances with him in the middle of the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a creepy visual that was.
It's funny too. WrestleMania 30, everybody talks about the monster package, the Daniel Bryan Imagine Dragons. Bro, I think John Cena and the Bray Wyatt video package was better. The Eminem video package, that was so good.
And then we had Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm. That's technically a buildup of like 20 years because they've been feuding since the Ruthless Aggression era.
And the streak.
The streak. Yeah, the streak in itself, right, brings a legacy of its own.
And then we have the Vicky Guerrero Invitational match for the WWE Divas Championship. This is how far we've come, ladies and gentlemen. This is how far we've come. We had literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 women in this invitational match for 7 minutes,
and that
as a filler match.
As a filler match, yeah. Manias back then were only about 3 and a bit hours long, like maybe 3 and a bit. Now we're talking about each night being that long.
And then of course the main event with Daniel Bryan and Batista.
Yeah. So
and Randy Orton.
And you know, like if you were to open WrestleMania 31, you'll see that there's a lot of matches. You're like, what the hell? Where did this come from? You know, like for example, Sting and Triple H, that formed very randomly. But I love the mess that was.
Can I quickly?
Yeah.
Could you guess the entire card of WrestleMania 31? Quick little game.
I'll try.
Can Santi guess the entire card? There is pre-show matches. Just to throw that out there. You don't have to name those.
Okay. All right.
This is without the pre-shows. This is a 7-card match. With them, it is 9.
Okay. So Sting versus Triple H.
That match happened.
Oh, I'm just
fifth match just to help you out. 5th match of the night.
Okay. We had Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins.
Oh, that classic RKO off the shoulder. Very short match too, 13 minutes.
The Intercontinental Championship ladder match.
Banger match.
We saw it on the Patreon. Dean Ambrose died.
Dude,
literally
Jesus,
died.
Died.
John Cena versus Rusev.
With the tank.
So good. The Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt.
Oh, the sunlight robbed us of the great spooky entrances that could have been, brother.
I'm trying to think here. Was it AJ Lee and Paige versus the Bellas?
Oh, yes.
That's
correct.
the poll. That's the one I needed. And then the main event, Brock and Roman, which then turns into Brock Roman versus Seth.
Yes, dude. Do you know the pre-show? Bonus?
I'm trying to think. U.S. Championship, maybe? No idea.
Yeah, it was a tag team fatal 4-way with Tyson Kidd, Cesaro, Los Matadors, The New Day, and the Usos. And the second pre-show was the 30-man Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. And guess who won that one? Guess the final 2.
Oh, who won the Battle Royal? That 31. I don't think that was Baron. Baron Corbin won the next one. Oh, that was the Big Show. Big Show won that one.
And who did he throw out? It's a crowd favorite. Big Show always throws out crowd favorites that we all wanted him to win.
Was it? I don't remember. Was it Dolph?
Nope. I'll give you one more guess.
Shaquille O'Neal? No, that happened at a different one. I don't know.
Damien Mizdow.
Oh, Damien. Oh, dude, people wanted Damien to win that. Yeah, I remember that.
We got so hyped for those moments, man. We did. We got so hyped. Once again, I guess the overall lesson that we have here, and I know we jest and we know we talk, things were a lot different back then. All right. At least there is reasons to have conversations for booking decisions these days, because you could pull from this person. You could say logically this match would make sense, or that YJ Gunther. Like, I feel like there's so many, like, we have roads to get to these conversations. Whereas in the past, sometimes the road was not there. Like, you literally have 14 women in the match, right? Like, that's the one I mean.
Yeah. Sancho, could you do me a favor? Can you look at the camera and say Mario? Oh yeah, you do. You do look like Luigi right now. Yeah. Luigi looking ass.
Luigi from Nintendo. Luigi from Nintendo. That's like, come on, slow down.
Yeah, gotta clarify which Luigi's these days.
Luigi from Nintendo, please.
All right, well, let's pivot here. Let's talk about some other stuff going on. People moving potentially from company to company, being let go. We had a handful of WWE releases, unfortunately.
How many people you think I triggered about the John Cena conversation?
I mean, people are going to be like, oh, bum-ass Sancho, unwatchable.
Hey, all I know is you John Cena lovers need to understand how strange of a move that was for John just to claim a spot. That's all I'm trying to point out to you, brother. All right, next.
Anyways, classic hater move. From WWE, we had the following people being released, and I want to include the AEW ones in here as well, because it just creates quite the mess of free agents. So we have Authors of Pain, both Akam and Razar, Paul Ellering being removed, so completely annihilating the Final Testament.
Hey, whoa. You stop that.
So is Final Testament still alive?
You stop that. All right. We here at the Wrestling is Cool figured out the best thing. Yes, we did. You agreed with me that the best thing for Authors of Pain was to put them with the Miz and let the Miz like do his thing and have them as his lackeys. WWE didn't see that, and that's their fault because those guys were awesome.
Okay. Paul Ellering, Cedric Alexander, who was, which is kind of wild because he was literally in a storyline in NXT with Javon Evans and Ethan Page and appeared on like last week's episode of NXT. We have Sonya Deville. This one was wild to me, Sancho, because she was literally being featured every single week on Monday Night Raw with matches, backstage segments, promos. And I said as much in my Royal Rumble review that was the best PFC had ever looked since coming together. Well, the way that they were running that like mid portion of the Rumble, I was like, I see the vision. I see what you guys are doing here. Only for her to literally be released like a day later. Blair Davenport, that one just bothers me because she never even got a chance. It's one of those where like, why'd you even call her up? You had nothing for her.
She did have a chance.
Three matches, Sancho, is what she had on SmackDown. You think that's a chance?
Backstage segments.
I feel like that's just not even like they called her up with no plan, clearly with nothing to do.
To be fair, Dijak didn't have a chance. That dude did not have
Of course, that was going to be my talking point, that like we're seeing this way too often.
That's my point. Dijak got 0. She got some, Not a good thing still, but she got some.
Well, Dijak was already a member of the main roster, so he had a year.
No matches. Wasn't on main event. Wasn't on.
No, I'm talking about before he was Dijak.
Well,
like he was on the main roster before Baron Corbin. Isla Dawn, that one.
That bothers me. Yeah,
that one boggles my mind. Like truly and genuinely, that women's tag team division like needs the witches, in my opinion. And you let one half of them go.
The witches. I wish they became witches. You know
yeah, what I mean? We have Giovanni Vinci. That one also never got a chance.
Told you. Did I told you? I said that they ruined this man with that roll up, and you're like, no, it's comedic. It's worth the joke. And I told you.
Well, I mean, like they never showed him again. Like he could have won that match. If they're never going to show him again, then it would have been the same result. The problem wasn't how he lost. The problem is that they just had nothing for him.
In my opinion, how he lost was oof.
You think that he got released because of fan reaction that he got rolled up?
And then he didn't get anything going after that. But I mean, clearly, as we're looking at this service level, there's probably lots of things that we can't account for. Sure, there's stories and rumors that I don't.
Yeah, we don't know backstage stuff.
But the point I want to say is like they could have started him off a better start than the roll up like that, though.
Sure,
they could have made him a mid card razor, brother.
Oh, that's such a reach. A mid card razor.
A mid card razor.
A mid card Razor Ramon. That's a wild comparison. That is a wild comparison.
Razor Ramon is great. Scott Hall is his final form.
I feel like he should. The height of Giovanni Vinci could have been Ruthless Aggression era Carlito.
I didn't say it's Alberto Del Rio. Like that's what they could have gone to with Giovanni, considering he had money.
And then they let the Good Brothers go, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. So there's some...
And then Elektra Lopez.
And Elektra Lopez recently as well. That one is also weird because she's literally on TV 2 days before she was released. So obviously we wish all of these people the best. This is why we need a healthy landscape of professional wrestling because there's so many places that all of these people could land, from TNA, AEW, to the really healthy independent circuit that we have. Of course, the Japanese circuit as well with Noah, with New Japan. So wrestling is super healthy right now. So it's not as if this is 2010 where these releases would make it tough to find employment. I feel like everybody here is going to be just fine. But it wasn't just WWE, Sancho. Over in AEW, we had the releases, which is not something that we typically see from AEW. From AEW, we either see Punk getting fired or your contract lapsing. That's usually what we see. We see typically Tony Khan holding on to his assets for dear life, right? But for what I can gather, the first time that we see this like mass wave of releases from AEW, all notable names. Aleister Black, who was signed through to 2027. We had Ricky Starks, who was only signed for a couple more months, but released. And then Miro, who was signed through 2026. All of them becoming free agents. And from what I gather, all of them eligible to literally show up on WWE yesterday. That's where we're at in terms of like non-compete clauses and whatnot. So we have all of these names out there surfacing, and I'm curious, when you hear these WWE releases and AEW releases, let's start with those AEW releases. Do you see those three men going to WWE, or do you see them going elsewhere?
I think one of the biggest value is Miro in the WWE. Rusev would do really well for a mid card, especially the United States title. I feel there's so much room for the mid card. Even Braun Breaker could use a guy to beat up that's not Sheamus. Like, it'd be nice to give him someone else, another League of Nation member in that one. What's Alberto doing these days? So that'd be a fun thing. I think the biggest upside would be Ricky Stark. Like, if you were to see, like, in terms of a trade value, if there was such a thing, you'd be like, wow, they got Ricky Starks too. And I think Ricky Starks definitely starts in NXT, though. He may be appearing at Vengeance Day. Don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of teases about a new group appearing at Vengeance Day. Yeah, I liked your shout there to Ricky Stark. If I'm Ricky Stark, I've got blinders on, brother. I am solely focused on WWE. Especially with how WWE has treated people that don't really have a WWE footprint, that made their footprint in AEW or in other places. I mean, just recently we've got, for example, Ethan Page, huge example, right? To NXT, immediately treated like a star, won the championship, one of the biggest assets that NXT has right now. If you want to go like a rung below Ethan Page, look at the great stuff that they're doing with Lexis King in NXT, who was barely being used in AEW. If you want to look bigger, look at the red carpet that they rolled out for Jade Cargill, how they're treating Penta. If I'm Ricky Stark, somebody that made the majority of his stock with his work in AEW, I am looking at that and I am salivating. That's exactly where I want to go, because I'm now seeing a company that understands the footprint that I've created outside of the WWE ecosystem, and they're not going to make me start from the very beginning. They're gonna allow me to be able to use the leverage that I've already created for myself to allow myself to catapult to stardom immediately within the WWE, whether it's main roster or NXT. I feel like Ricky Stark has to be looking at WWE. If I'm Aleister Black, it's also an obvious option, because if I'm Aleister Black, my wife is over there. And two, my time with WWE, Zelina Vega, my time with WWE was best when it was Triple H in charge, when I was in NXT Black and Gold. Now Triple H is in charge. I'm connecting those dots, right? Rusev, funny enough, you mentioned that there's a lot of value in having Rusev in the mid-card of the WWE. I agree with all of those points, but if I'm Rusev, I'm probably the most skeptical out of those three to come to WWE, because he doesn't have this body of work to say, look at how well I was treated under Triple H, because he wasn't particularly this like top guy in NXT when Triple H was leading it. He really wasn't. Most of his time and success and failures and misery came under Vince McMahon. But unlike Aleister Black can say, yeah, I was miserable under Vince McMahon. I was treated horribly, booked terribly into oblivion, but at least look how I was treated under Triple H. And now I'm coming back to that. Rusev doesn't actually have that. So I'm more skeptical about Rusev actually making the jump than the other three, but Rusev would be super valuable.
Bigger name.
Yeah.
Huge name.
Oh, yeah, Miro's a huge name.
But I wonder if he's going to stay as Rusev or he's going to be Miro, because Miro, the Redeemer, is a very interesting character. You know, he had some really dark and sinister promos as Miro.
Can't that be Rusev the Redeemer? Can't they bring the same character?
Ooh, Rusev the Redeemer.
With just the same, because the name Rusev is way more recognizable than Miro.
The Miro, right? 100%. One thing I do want to also is like the same with the WWE talent being released, they could find greater pastures for them. I always hate speculating on where people can go, like, in terms of like, because families, they got an uprooting chance. I mean, the Good Brothers always have a home in New Japan. They always do well in New Japan. They have a great place they could be great TNA guys.
Oh yeah, they were there not that long ago,
right? And Tony Khan could actually he loves New Japan talent, and those are New Japan legends. So the Good Brothers would have a good home, and Good Brothers and FTR, the Outrunners. There's so many good matches for the Good Brothers over there to kind of roam around. even like Sonya Deville in AEW would be awesome.
I feel like that would be AEW's biggest get out of
For
these.
sure.
They think it'd be Sonya.
Because she'd be so different from what they have, they don't have that many. And if I'm fine to be corrected, but from what I've seen, they don't have that many MMA type women, right?
Sure.
Who could have that kind of a fight style that would work really well. I'm trying to think of other.
If I'm Sonya, though, I'm looking at TNA. That's really appealing as well. Like that's really the way that they've always kind of had women's wrestling up on a pedestal with their knockouts division, and with a big void now left with a Jordan Grace, right? And like the void that they tried to fill it with is Tessa Blanchard, and everyone's rejecting that, right?
Yes,
I could see, if I'm Sonya Deville, I'm like, okay, maybe I can do a Naomi to Trinity Fatu. Go to TNA, make a big name for myself, make myself undeniable, come back to the WWE or something like that.
Right. I mean, that seems to be the case where WWE wants to. I think when they release you, it's not like forever buy. It's like more if you come back and establish yourself even bigger, like a Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes, will definitely welcome you back. I mean, there's no burned bridges that I don't feel. Maybe in Giovanni's case, they could be a burned bridge. I'm not sure, but even Giovanni could do well in TNA. I'm just trying to find like one of the authors of pain. I feel they have ability to crush it in the endings. Like, good Lord, dude. Those guys
in a GCW match. Ooh.
A blood sport match with those guys?
Sure.
Sure. Put them in the Hammerstein ballroom. Why not? Like, we've seen some crazy things around the world. I'm just hoping that the biggest one out of all those ones that gets me the most interested is Ricky Stark.
Me too.
He has the upside, the biggest upside. And I've, again, the great asset into us wrestling fans, Chris Van Vliet's interview with Ricky Stark, is that you could hear a man that is in so much in pain because he's on the shelf and is feeling like he's wasting the prime, I guess, days of his life. Because that's what bothered him the most. Like he doesn't care where he's booked. He doesn't care how he's booked. He just wants to be used because he feels like he's in the prime of his career. And when he's sitting on the shelf at home doing nothing, which is what he was saying in the interview, he felt like it messed it up his psyche, man. He felt like is he wrong about what he's doing? Is he making the wrong choice in his life? And that's a terrible way to live. So I'm happy that he's been released and is free. And if he chooses the WWE, I think the WWE could do some great things with him. And I feel that most of these releases, I know they come around the same time of year, but they could be releasing people to get ready to get more.
Could be.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm trying to find a silver lining to the AEW releases, is maybe we're seeing a Tony Khan that isn't just gonna, if I'm not using you, I'm just gonna keep you just so that you can't go to WWE, which seems to be the vibes with what we are seeing with Rey Fenix, right? Like, dude, just release him. Like you're not using him. He doesn't want to be used by you. Like WWE is an inevitable monster. You're not hurting the WWE by keeping Rey Fenix away from the WWE.
You're just hurting Rey Fenix.
You're literally just hurting Rey Fenix and your reputation as well, right? As somebody that might, I'm not saying that that's the case. Contracts do be contracts. He's got the full right to be able to exercise it, but it does create this maybe outside looking in vision of like, oh man, they really do shackle you over there. I would be a bit more hesitant to want to go to AEW if I'm seeing how they're holding back somebody like Rey Fenix. So maybe this could lead to a Rey Fenix release sometime soon because we know where he's bound. I mean, like with AEW and Rey Fenix, it's so bad that they've removed his merch. From what? You clearly have no value for Rey Fenix anymore. You might as well let the dude fly.
Well, would you want him with Penta now? Considering that Penta is like invested as a single star and the road for Penta is Rey?
Like right now at this very second in time, no. But eventually I'd love to see the Lucha Brothers together. I almost feel like this is a blessing in disguise for the Lucha Brothers. Because now the Lucha Brothers, as opposed to being introduced into a really weak tag team system, now when the Lucha Brothers do become a thing, they can be introduced and have immediate single star power behind it, the popularity of Penta.
Is this the same place?
Oh boy. I like to say yes, but then sometimes, brother, you say some things that
Yeah.
are up there with flat Earth theories.
Yeah, but then sometimes I say things you're like on board with, but no one seems to care, you know?
All right, hit me, Luigi from Nintendo.
Believe. It would be really awesome that if, let's say this, Ray Phoenix gets released, right? They release him and we don't know yet. And we don't know where he goes, and maybe the WWE secretly signs him. Chad Gable is now on this this quest. I don't know where he's going, but he's on this quest. What if, to keep the Lucha Brothers separate, he brings in a luchador from somewhere else, and it's like they change the look of Ray Phoenix, and we're like, oh my god, we don't know who this is, and then it's revealed that it's Penta's brother. Like, I
He
found
takes
a
off the
luchador-
mask and it's another
Yeah.
mask.
yeah, like something like that. Like he's like, Chad Gable goes, I found somebody that could finally teach me the arts. And I know the dark arts has all been kind of referred to as being Malachi Black and Zelina Vega, all that kind of stuff. But what if he's like, I found someone that could finally teach me how to be this ultimate luchador? And it's like you remember seeing those the magician in the early 2000s that would reveal all the tricks? And he was the masked magician. You remember that?
No.
Dude, the masked magician was a thing in the United States. It was a guy that would come on this Fox special and he would reveal all the secrets.
Oh,
of
what
the
an
magicians.
asshole!
Huh?
He's showing behind the
Yeah.
magic. That's not
But that's
cool.
why he was masked. He's the masked magician.
Of course, he's trying to protect himself from big magic coming after him.
Yeah, big magic in big red shoes. So that's what this guy is. He's like the mask luchador, like the dark luchador. And then it's like revealed that this whole time Penta has been fighting his own brother, you know.
That'd be such a Mexican telenovela.
Right?
Dios mío, mi hermano. I'm laughing at the notion of this guy taking off his lucha mask only for it to be the Ray Phoenix lucha mask. That'd be hilarious. Listen, with all of these releases, however, one man continues to stand tall and continues to survive, and that is Karrion Kross. I'll put this over to you because you wanted to talk a little bit about Karrion.
Well, like I said, we don't know the backstage happenings, but this is a testament, pun intended, of Karrion Kross continuing his value to the brand when he's not working in the ring. Like, we haven't seen him wrestle on television in a while. I think the last match was that match against the Wyatt Six. And I know there's a rumor that a Wyatt Six member is injured, and that's what's been delaying the Wyatt Six, and it could be Uncle Howdy himself. But Karrion Kross, even though he loses his Final Testament buddies, I think it's something to be said that he's able to bring value to the table with his promos, with his presence on camera, with his lubrication of heel and face turns. It's a word.
It is a word. It's a choice of a word.
What's a better word?
I guess greasing the.
Would you rather use grease or lubrication here?
We can go with lubrication. You may continue.
Okay. I was worried if you're a grease man. Strange.
I'm not married to either. Focus.
Karrion Kross has that ability to survive because I think he has great ideas. And have you ever watched his social media, like his timeline?
Yeah.
He cuts these like really bizarre promos on random things sometimes. Like there's one about a guy calls him and he's explaining the pile driver, like all those kinds of things. And I think that because Karrion is so invested in making it work in his passion, I'm not saying all the other talent is, but from what I've seen from the timeline, I haven't seen a talent who hasn't been on TV make himself a presence on social media as much as if he's the main event. Like, look at Chelsea Green, right? Chelsea Green is active on social media. Her match is over, boom, she's retweeting all this other stuff, like immediately. All your posts and she's just retweeting. When I feel like when Karrion Kross is not on TV, he's active. He's still active. He's making his own vignettes. He's making his own videos. And he's trying to, I guess, show people that he cares. He's like not going to sit on his chair and not just wait to wait to be used. He's going to keep presenting ideas. And when you've seen in all his podcast interviews and things of that sort, that he did like a really small podcast kind of circuit for a while when he was just kind of appearing more on TV. So I just find it fascinating that there is still an opportunity and way to be present. Like Tyler Breeze. You thought Tyler Breeze would be released a long time ago, but he's shown value in Up, Up, Down, Down, and he's a very valuable producer behind the scenes. And I'm hoping that when the dust is settled and Karrion Kross is going to be revealed to be one of the, you know what he reminds me of? What Civil War? Remember that movie with MCU?
The
Avengers
MCU Civil War. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Not the A24
yeah.
film. Where it was what was it? Zemo? What was that guy? Zemo. When he
Baron
was the
Zemo.
guy that
Baron Zemo.
Yeah, that's Karrion Kross, dude. He's the guy that has been behind the scenes manipulating people, and I think that's where the payoff's going to be for Karrion Kross, this Zemo moment, where it's like, aha, you see, I made all this happen. And I think I'm hoping that the WWE does put him somewhere near John Cena to be the guy that pushes him over the edge for like, John, you had every right to claim that spot, John, in Elimination Chamber. You are who you are, John. Think about all the times, John, that you sacrificed your body. All those times you could have been with your friends and no, you had to go ahead and work for the WWE. All those wishes you made. You know what, John? Don't you deserve a wish yourself, John?
Oh, that'd be such a great line.
Right?
That'd be such a sick line.
Ooh. Oh, it's just really cool to me that you could make a way through in that business without having actually wrestle. And he's a solid worker in the ring too.
Yeah, I love how much Karrion Kross maximizes his little TV time. He'll appear for literally, I'm not even exaggerating, 45 seconds in an episode of Raw. He missed the last one. I don't recall seeing him. But when he does appear, he does leave a piece of conversation. He does leave fans talking about, ooh, what could this mean? What is he manipulating here? Could he be the reason that Sami Zayn turns heel, right? So even though he gets such little TV time, his presence continues to be felt even after his 30 seconds of TV time. And I feel like that goes a long way. I feel like that does go a long way when you're able to create discussion amongst fans when the TV show is off. I feel like there is a lot of value in that, in continuing the community conversation going. We'll see though. Like, Final Testament didn't work. Karrion Kross wasn't able to make Final Testament work. Adding The Miz couldn't help Final Testament work. So like that's still to me a blemish when I look at what Karrion Kross has done. So we'll have to see. Like there's still work to be done. But funnily enough, with the removal of all of the other members of the Final Testament, sending The Miz over to Friday Night SmackDown, now I'm like, okay, now let's put him in a sink or swim moment. Like let's actually give him the opportunity to win us over, or for us to actually have something to point and say like, yeah, this is not the guy. I feel like we're in that moment where we can give Karrion the make or break as per se.
Yeah, we got to get him in the ring, we got to get him in the ring more. And now that he's not dealing with the White Six, who does he go after? Is he going to go after Sheamus, Braun Breaker? Like, who's the guy
Sami.
who's going to...
I think it's Sami.
Yeah, I mean, the Sami is. I feel like those in between characters wouldn't be a big win for a Karrion Kross. A Karrion Kross has to turn like a John Cena type of character, even if he messes with Otis and Tozawa. Like that would be a little too low for him. But it's for me. What gets me going about Karrion is like when he shows up, he's like, oh my god, what are you up to, brother? Like, what are you up to, you little guy? So I'm enjoying Karrion Kross, and I'm hoping that that's the lesson maybe that you walk away. Again, I'm not in that world. I'm not a wrestler. I don't know the backstage politics, but what I do know is if you show value in anything that you do, you will slowly be given more in general. And when it comes to life, right? Like, there's sometimes when someone edit something for you, and you're like, ooh, that's pretty good, man. And then they keep consistently showing up for you, and you're like, whoa, or they mod for you, or they, they're in your channel, and then, you know what? Let me let you be a Discord mod. And they keep, showing their value and things of that sort. They're given more and more responsibilities. And I think at this point, this WrestleMania has to be big for Karrion. I think that's what matters the most, because we already talked about his last WrestleMania. That was not that well of a showing. Him in that last Royal Rumble, not this 2025 and 2024, did not have a great showing. I remember after that Royal Rumble, I was like, oh, Karrion didn't really do much in that Royal Rumble. And I was hoping he would appear in this Royal Rumble to do more. So I'm hoping that there has to be that Zemo moment for him. And if the WWE doesn't pull the trigger on that moment, we're just going to forget about Karrion Kross. Does that make sense?
It does. And like, I would still be nervous as a Karrion Kross fan because he's getting less TV time than what Sonya Deville was getting. And we saw what happened here.
But he is nailing his segments. He's hitting home runs.
He's very impactful. That's what I was saying, right? Like, even though he's getting less TV time, they're very impactful. I'd still be nervous. I'd still be nervous.
Do you think that Chad Gable's in a better position than Karrion Kross?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Because I feel like Chad Gable has been given ring time. And that ring time, you know that he's gonna deliver. He's gonna deliver a banger no matter where you throw him in. And I think that Karrion still has that question. If you were walking into WrestleMania 39, which a majority of people are, or a good chunk of them are, you go, I don't know who this guy is, Karrion. I haven't seen him in the ring much. And you would easily gravitate towards a Logan Paul because you just saw him on Monday Night Raw at the main event, you know?
I agree with you, Sancho. Logan Paul is better than Karrion Kross.
No.
Let's move.
No.
That's what I took away from this conversation.
I mean, Logan's in ring.
Let's shift gears here. Solo is back. And does that listen? I've got a little bone to pick. All right.
Go ahead. Lead the way.
My bone to pick here is a personal one. It's a personal one.
Timestamp.
It's a selfish one too. I might be going to Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber. Yep, I'm gonna go full Dr. Octopus.
Did you see that guy with Logan and Ray? He had a big director camera. I guess he was filming some sort of documentary. That's gonna be you, dude.
That guy follows me on Instagram. The camera guy for Logan. Anyways, what I was gonna say is that if I end up going to Elimination Chamber, it's very likely that one of the main events, or maybe the closer, will be Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Unfortunately, the last PLE that I went to, SummerSlam, was also closed by Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. And look,
poor you.
No, seriously, poor me, man. Because listen, at least the SummerSlam one is like, I can get behind this because of the looming return of Roman Reigns, right? Solo pretending to be the tribal chief. But now here, like, bro, what does Solo bring to the table here to this feud? He's not the tribal chief. There is no looming return of Roman Reigns. He's just a stopgap for WrestleMania. And especially after coming off the back of the fantastic Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes feud, it's like, look, Cody can have good feuds that aren't involving the Bloodline. And then what do? We put him right back into the Bloodline vortex. And now I'm probably going to have to see that friggin' match again.
Oh, come on, man. Solo had a great 2024, man. Look where Solo started and look where he ended up. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be just because he thumbed your guy 18 times, brother.
That's not the reason.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Not.
Yes, it is. Just because he thumbed John Cena.
Okay. I want to know where you're standing. All right. I need you to expose yourself here. Are you on board with Solo versus Cody?
That's not going to happen. I don't think they're going to give us that match.
Yeah, they will. Stop being a coward. Answer the question. Sancho, are you co-signing, laminating, and sending it to the Oval Office that you are down for Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa? Are you down to clown for Solo versus Cody? Stop dodging it. Answer the question.
Give me my red nose and white makeup, brother. Let me slap on that big old smile. Because you know why we're going to get Cody or Solo again? Because it's an opportunity to show that Cody is losing it and he's going to go to the brink. And why not destroy Solo Sikoa along the way? Someone who's been
you're down. In this you're excited for this. You think this is a good decision?
Are you dumb? Did you not hear me say, give me my big nose and white face paint? Like, what is it? Yes, I'm down.
So you're down to clown. Wow. Sancho,
I'd rather have Cody wrestle than not do anything at all. I don't like it when our undisputed champion misses out on one of the big PLEs.
Could have done something else. Could have been literally anybody else.
Who in this timeline?
I'll take Carmelo Hayes. Why not? If it's a one-off match.
I thought you were going to say Carlito.
with his purple skinny jeans.
Dude, they look good, dude. I was like, I would wear those.
You know what? When I saw those purple skinny jeans, I'm like, yeah, Sancho would wear that. I
I
would never.
would. The nice plum color. What's wrong with a nice plum skinny jeans?
It
You
did
what-
scream
you. Don't have
you.
skinny jeans? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have jorts. How many jorts do you have?
I don't have jorts.
Yes, you do.
No,
I've seen you in
don't.
jorts. You have khaki jorts.
That's not jorts.
It's the same thing.
No,
a cousin
it's
of
literally
jorts.
not.
Khaki shorts are. I don't know, brother.
Khaki shorts
I
are
don't-
not jorts.
I don't know, dude. They're the dressed up version of jorts.
They're
It
the
doesn't make them any
jorts
better.
of they're the jorts of Target employees.
The guy that works in the warehouse. You know what I mean? Just-
Yeah.
And yes, dude. The reason why is because we got to get Cody to the point of we said this before. I think you said this in the matchup of who did you say that had to get rid of their ghost before they could meet the new foe? Didn't you say something about that? That
I
so
don't
and so
remember that.
person you said that so and so person needs to get rid of everybody that they faced in the past. So
Oh,
they can,
Gunther.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that that's what we are here with Cody. And I know we've seen it multiple times. And we saw what was the one in the cage?
Wasn't him
It was
beating
like-
him at SummerSlam, getting rid of the ghost of the past?
It was the one in the SmackDown, right? The
He beat him
first
twice.
SmackDown
Yeah,
on-
he beat him
on
at
USA?
SummerSlam and then SmackDown in the cage match. Like, why
In
do
the
we need
cage
to get
match.
rid of this ghost?
Because Cody didn't do it with this anger and animosity of let me throw you down the ladder and break your neck and then emote over you your your bloody body with 2 belts. I think that's what the WWE needs to do because they need to bring in Randy as the voice of reason. We already said this again. Randy was the voice of reason for Kevin Owens. I think this is where Randy comes back and goes, Cody, chill. What are you doing? Well, stop him? Because they're gonna have Solo and they're gonna be ding 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 ding, ring the bell because Cody is just like enough. I'm gonna keep power bombing you, crossroading you. I'm gonna do all these things to you, and then who's gonna stop Cody Rhodes? Randy Orton's gonna step in, and then that's the feud that maybe gets us to Mania. I don't know, brother. Well, what do you want from me? Dude, this is what I'm being fed. Solo and Cody, enjoy it.
I just want you to be toxic and hate it like everybody else will.
I'm not going to be because I'm trying to find the positivity and the silver lining in that Cody and Solo match.
Great. Okay, so next time, you come over to my house, I'm gonna serve you a big
There-
old plate of my poop, and you're gonna look at the silver lining of it.
The silver lining is
yeah,
it's
what's
full
the-
of protein.
Ew.
What I want to point out is that what other matchup would bring that
Also, it's
animosity out of Cody?
not. Poop is not high in protein.
Little biscuit.
It's just not, brother. The nutritional value of my poop is just.
Why do you know this? Well,
Because-
I'm assuming that you eat so much protein in your intake that some of it has to go away. Some of it has to.
Some of it has to land in your poop.
Something has to get through the line of defense of your intestines. No, but I'm like, what other matchup could bring the same? Like Carmelo wouldn't be that guy. I mean, it would have to be another face. The reason why I think it's Solo Sikoa is because it would be so unexpected for Cody just to destroy Solo Sikoa. And he's taking it all.
Yeah, I'm not on board. And again, maybe selfish
would you
reasons. I don't want to see Cody.
Would you rather
versus
not
Solo
have
again.
Cody at all then?
No,
Cody at
I'd
all.
rather have Cody with almost literally anybody else. I just not in the bloodline vortex.
I could literally say, give me any name and then shoot it down like you did when I said Bailey.
No, I'm not going to do that because you're clearly not down to clown.
I'm down to clown for Cody and Solo.
Oh, that's so gross.
But what if that's a way to introduce another bloodline member?
Who cares?
Nicoleo.
I'm done. Who cares, bro? Who cares? Oh man. Let's talk about things that we do care about. The mid card.
Question. Yes, that's what I was going to say about the mid card. Do
Okay.
you care about LA Knight, Damian Priest,
Yeah.
Drew?
Well, I care. Okay, so the mid card on both shows are in a weird position.
They are.
And I know why. Like, I know what's going on with like the champions not really getting feuds or storylines because it's kind of happening across Shinsuke, Braun, Chelsea Green, who seems to just be
Lyra.
stuck with Michin and Lyra Valkyria. The problem is the time of the year that we're in where the PLE cycles are building towards singles glory and singles accolades in the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber. So you have Lyra Valkyria building and hyper herself up for the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber instead of focusing on building the Intercontinental Championship picture. So it puts things like the feud against Ivy Nile to the side until we can say, all right, we've done Lyra trying to chase that singles gold. And the same thing kind of happened with well, it's not as clear with Shinsuke and with Braun Breaker, but it's clear that those titles are on the back burner for a little bit.
I'm Shinsuke.
Yeah, you're Shinsuke hanging out in the back over there. And one of the interesting things about the SmackDown mid-card in particular is that mid-card is cooking. Dude, that mid-card has so many awesome names. You were talking about Carmelo Hayes, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Damian Priest is in there. You can make an argument that maybe even Drew McIntyre is in there. Jimmy Uso making big strides. And the division is cooking. Jesus Christ. The division is cooking without the champion Shinsuke Nakamura. And I think that's a problem, man. Shinsuke just getting absolutely no love. The division doesn't need Shinsuke. And that to me is going to be the canary in the coal mine for Shinsuke's title reign ending sometime soon.
This is Shinsuke. Everybody like, oh my God, Shinsuke is in the background. Ooh, what's that mean? Little Shinsuke.
We're on like minute 2 of Sancho doing this Shinsuke bit.
Do you see Shinsuke? She's just standing there menacingly. I don't know. Why is he standing behind Cody and Jay? I don't know.
Who cares? Is unfortunately the problem, is unfortunately the answer, because the division is doing well without him. Are you okay? Did you tangle yourself up doing this Shinsuke bit?
Look, man, Shinsuke but the reason why I brought this to the podcast is not their performance on weekly television or lack thereof. It's their performance at the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble has always been an indicator for me, like who's getting pushed and who's not. And I thought Lyra would have a long run. Shinsuke was a blimp. Shinsuke, he was in there in the end game.
I almost forgot he was in there.
He came in like at what, 26, I want to say?
Maybe.
He came in late, and when his music hit, everyone was like, it's Shinsuke, because we were waiting for everybody else. But it's a shame, man. It's a crying shame that this is what's happened to the mid card, which I think at this point last year we were both saying that the mid card was at a strong point. We always said that, hell, man, the mid card's great. You could throw anybody into the main event. They could challenge for the world title. You'd be happy. But it seems like that everyone that was challenging for the world title at this time this year has now been regulated down to the mid card, and there's just no direction for them. The Damian Priestes of the world, the Drew McIntyres of the world, the Shinsuke's of the world, who are all going after Seth Rollins for the world title, now just have no purpose in this mid card. Even LA Knight, who needs like something, man. He needs some wins, because him feuding with Drew, I feel, is very refreshing. But if you were going to look on paper, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, huge downgrade for Drew. Like a huge downgrade.
Yeah.
Even though the in-ring is refreshing because we haven't seen it, and there feels like there's real heat, but to be frank, they've been friends forever. I mean, they were in an Impact faction with Tongaloa way back in the day.
I forgot about that.
So I don't think like that. It's like a fun pit stop for Drew McIntyre, but do you want to see Drew go for the United States title? No. And that's what's so strange about having him on SmackDown. I know he called out Cody, like, Cody, I'm here for you, but I don't see it. That's what's so hard about having these brand splits, where one title is this revered, undisputed, finish the story, legacy, mega Roman 3,000 days type of vibe, where you have characters like LA Knight and Drew and Damian. They can't go for those titles.
Oh, and part of the reason that they can't go for these titles is because they're doing Solo versus Cody again.
Yeah, but you know those guys are not going to beat Cody before.
Who cares?
Mania.
I don't think that Solo is either. So what's the problem with like an LA Knight getting a one-off championship match and feud? That'd be hype. We know Cody's winning anyway. Whoever you put in front of him for Elimination Chamber is losing.
True, but like, we go back for a second. Why is Solo still mad at Cody when he should be going after Roman?
I know, it doesn't make sense, bro. Like that's part of the reasons. Like there's nothing that's tying me to Cody versus Solo again. It's just not, unless this is Solo's like last Hail Mary to get back as the head of the table or whatever it might be.
The Mahomes.
Maybe, sure.
Yeah, the Mahomes play, the Super Bowl Mahomes.
Yeah, you know, he's down 40-0. And he's like, well, maybe I can make it 40-7. That's what this feels like. But if it was like, we're talking about building up that scary Cody, what if he goes overboard on an LA Knight? What if he goes overboard on
Damian Priest?
On a Damian Priest, right? Even guys, nobody believes that Cody's losing this at Elimination Chamber. Not a soul. So why not do something a little bit new, something interesting? Why Solo Sikoa again?
I think the play is to introduce a new Bloodline member to give Solo some power again. I know they're not doing Bloodline anymore with Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, but maybe in the WWE's mind, they're like, hey, Jacob Fatu got over by beating up Cody. What if we get Hikuleo over, or the other
Lance
Bloodline? Yeah, Lance over by beating up Cody. I don't know. The point I want to talk about when it comes to the mid card is the belts feel like they don't have any stepping stone to them as they did like a year ago. They don't. Like, Chelsea doesn't feel like a threat to the main event yet.
The only one is Braun Breaker. Literally the only
one is Braun. Yeah. Yes. Only one is Braun Breaker that feels like a threat, but even him hasn't been on TV for a while, at least in a match, but him at the Royal Rumble is amazing. Saturday Night Main Event, Braun Breaker, we all agree that I guess we come to the conclusion Saturday Night Main Event is just its own thing, right?
Yeah.
That's not canon, but Braun Breaker has proven that he could dominate anything, and he's the most viral man in the WWE.
Yeah,
he is.
It's funny, with the mid card, even NXT struggling. Ever since Obafemi lost the North American Championship and moved up to the NXT Championship to become NXT champion, it's been on Tony D'Angelo, and like the division just feels weaker. It doesn't feel like if you're the North American champion that you're going to be going after the NXT Championship anymore. So it's a pretty across the board problem with the mid card right now, unfortunately.
I wondered, man, it's so interesting. Like I mentioned, like a year ago, we were swimming, dude. We were fine. And we had less time on TV on SmackDown.
Yeah. That's where I'm like, why let like Sonya go? Maybe Sonya could have gone to SmackDown and been at least a feud for a Chelsea Green, something different, so that it isn't just always Chelsea versus Michin. Or if they were going to put the title on Michin, maybe they could have done Michin, Sonya Deville. Blair Davenport could have played into that role. Again, I don't know the ins and outs of their releases and whatnot, but I see that there's a clear need for bodies in the women's mid card. On both sides, there really is, on both Raw and on SmackDown. So in those releases, when I look at needs on TV for WWE, I'm like, we could have used a couple of these people here. So like, what are we going to do with Alba Fire now that she's by herself? Alba Fire's a fire, no pun intended, wrestler. Like, she's a great single star. She was a great single star before joining the Unholy Union. Are we now going to see the breakout of Alba Fire here? Because again, we need some women in the mid card. Yeah, interesting position to be in.
Do you think we did this to ourselves though?
What did we do to ourselves? What?
Let's take a step back here. All right, let's put the mirror at ourselves here.
The man in the mirror. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself.
You look at yourself. Make a change. We asked for women's mid-card titles. We asked for the splitting of the tag team divisions. We spread everything so thin that maybe that's why the mid-card and the tag team division is not doing so well.
Well, I mean, the argument maybe works for the tag team division, but it doesn't work for the mid-card because the women's main event scene is fine. But it's not a
stepping stone. Like, what if we
not yet? They haven't
introduced two belts. We could have done one United States belt for a while.
Sure. I mean, maybe the execution could have been better, right? Like, allow the U.S. belt to create a blueprint for how to do the Intercontinental Championship. Sure, but they are still in the early stages. The problem, I don't think, is the importance of the belt, because the belt is at 0. You need to build the importance of the belt. The problem is that there's no bodies to create interesting storylines and feuds to help increase the legitimacy of those belts for them to become stepping stones for the Chelsea Greens of the world right now.
This tells me that the Raw after Mania is going to be huge.
I hope so, especially with those AEW names looming, right? Maybe some NXT call-ups. I think it could be.
You need it. I feel like I don't know, man. I know people are saying that there's been a lot of matchups recycling. Like there's a lot of those like, oh, another Piper and Meechin feud. Like where is it going to go? Like those, I think that's the kind of situations that we're in. Like how many times are we going to see Los Garza versus Pretty Deadly? I still like those. I mean, they're getting time. I think where people fall in traps of is like sometimes you need to have these matches develop. You need just to give them time. And it's not every match is going to be like a big banger or a big needle moving moment, just them having time to massage things and figure it out. I think that's where we got to be more patient. Like I think Ray versus Logan is the exception. Like that kind of stuff is rare air. Not every match or every promo is going to be that way, like a CM Punk promo. So you got to let these guys work it out. If not, we're going to get these situations where releases happen.
Mm-hmm. All right. We're coming up here towards the end of the podcast, but I got two more things I wanted to talk about. We had Fandango, JDC, make an appearance in NXT to set up a match against Alexis King for the Heritage Cup, maybe the most, the dumbest prize in WWE. I hate that cup. I like that Alexis King is like, yeah, I'm done. We're done with these rounds. We're just gonna have regular matches for this, for this championship trophy, which is definitely an improvement. But we're starting to see these TNA and WWE crossovers. We have Joe Hendry continuing to push for a match with John Cena. We have Dominic Mysterio telling the world that he wants to go to TNA and do some work over there. So I kind of want to do a quick temperature check on how you're feeling about the relationship so far.
Doesn't it crack me up that it feels like Joe Henry wants to collab with John Cena? Kind of, so it feels like, you know what I mean?
It like does sound like a collab, yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, bro, why don't we just collab a little, have a match? There needs to be more movement from TNA and WWE, like more. If we talk about the WWE needs bodies for the mid card, TNA is the perfect place to throw in some of those bodies. Let me get a squash match for Chelsea Green and someone from TNA. And I'm not talking about like, let's put TNA down in the dumps, but let's give TNA a very competitive match with Chelsea Green. Let's put a tournament on TNA to have a match for Chelsea Green. Like that kind of stuff. We could have that crossover things going, like where Chelsea Green could go to TNA, cut her promo by, oh, these women's division, these knockout are no match for me. You figure it out, and I'll face the winner of this, like the tournament. I think that'd be great stuff. Finn Balor going down to TNA just to give him some fresh new opportunities to work out, get some wins, underneath his belt will be huge. And vice versa, it would give TNA talent some more to work with. But I love it, man. This is what I think where the WWE wants. They want the cycle, the WWE ID evolve. They want us to go from there to enjoying the LFG show on AEW. They want us to go there to enjoy NXT main roster stuff. It's like this ecosystem that they're setting up for us to live in. And I just need TNA to be one of those stops to go, why should I tune in on Thursdays on TNA? Mm-hmm. Oh, because Chelsea Green's going to show up, or a bigger name. I love NXT, and don't get me wrong, like those talents are awesome, but we need heavy hitters to show up for more to work out. And with Dominic Mysterio, I think what he's doing is he's doing the Triple H thing. Let me throw out this. If anyone gets traction, maybe I will show up. Or maybe the WWE is saying, hey, Dom, say this. And if people attach to it, then we'll do it. Let's put him in there. Because Dom did wonders for NXT for that that North American title.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, we saw WWE really, like, in the last 2 years. Like, I know that you don't have as much eyes on NXT as I do, but like I saw the transition, right? I saw them go from black and gold to resetting things with NXT 2.0, the Rainbow era, and then going into the new era of NXT.
The black and white,
the black and whitish, yeah. Well, now it's black and white. Before it was like white and gold or something like that. I saw those transitions, and NXT kept picking up steam more and more after the dismantling of black and gold. It kept getting better and better and better and better, and their formula was, let's throw Dolph Ziggler down here for a couple months. Let's throw Dominic here for a couple months. Let's throw Becky Lynch here for a couple of months. They kept doing this thing. A couple times they had Rhea working a program down there with Lyra Valkyria. They kept telling the world, hey, look at the And you could tune into NXT and you never know who from the main roster is going to show up. You tuned in, holy crap, it's Alpha Academy with Chad Gable down there. We saw the Bloodline appear. Remember when Jacob Fatu, Tamatanga, and Tangaloa went over there? That was for the tribal chief. Yeah. Right? That was a formula that worked to get NXT over to now, it's the third biggest brand in North America. It surpassed AEW in terms of like eyeballs and in general interest, and to the detriment of AEW, unfortunately. So maybe this is the formula that WWE and TNA should take. Like any given Tuesday or any given Thursday, you could tune in and you don't know who is going to come over from TNA or NXT, like we saw with Fandango. I don't always love to use like my social media numbers as the canary in the coal mine, but like if I look at my views on Instagram for everything NXT, it's like 70,000 views, 70,000 views, 70,000 views. Fandango returning 500,000, right? So those crossovers are obviously clearly generating interest in one way, shape, or form. And we've seen WWE make that work. And I would love to see them make this work with the partnership with TNA. I would like to think that there's big incentive for WWE to make this work. Obviously, the incentive is very clear to making NXT work, but I would love for them to put that same level of gusto in this TNA deal.
I think what you see is that what that tells me about Fandango is there's a lot of sleeper WWE fans still, a whole bunch of them, a PG era fans that totally left when they were kids or when they turned teens, and they remember Fandango. I mean, Fandango really did his best to stick around as long as he could, but didn't really make a big impact.
No,
didn't rise above the mid card at all. I mean, he had a great run with Tyler Breeze, but
maybe he beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 28. Let's never forget that. His debut match, he beats Chris Jericho.
So there is, I think, more of the pie for WWE to grab. And I think one of the what I hope is that the WWE sees that if you build up TNA respectfully, you could get a Joe Hendry pop at Royal Rumble. You could get that pop for Jordan Grace as well. And the TNA has some great talent. And I'm thinking that if they treat it right and they kind of, like I said, do more of what we've been hoping for, it's going to work out. If they soon keep burying that TNA, that's going to be a problem. When I thought that they would pull the trigger on Jordan Grace and Roxanne Perez, I thought, Jordan Grace wins. That would have been crazy, but it just showed me that they weren't ready yet.
I feel like if the deal was in place now and they were to do that, I feel like they might have pulled the trigger on it.
It would have been crazy because then we'd be like, wow, there is a WWE champion on TNA running around with that belt, which would be blasphemous if you remember the so many times that Vince screwed people over on purpose to not let the titles go anywhere else. It's a good time, man. It's a good time, and I think like the WWE is spreading out so wide that I'm hoping that when it comes down to the main roster, it's just so bizarre to me to feel it's so thin up there. Right? Mm-hmm. And then when you have these releases, like, wait a minute, why are they releasing talent when they need the people up on the main roster to help? And then you see them, they have so much stockpile everywhere else. There's going to be those situations where you're just like, man, it sucks that they released the X person, but clearly they have plans that there's no room for that person. It is what it is, man.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Sancho, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. The last thing that I have here on the docket is, we've been talking about bodies moving from TNA to NXT, vice versa, AEW to WWE, WWE to AEW. Maybe the craziest trade in the history of modern day sports has recently happened. Luka Doncic getting sent to the Los Angeles Lakers in return for a bag of chips and Anthony Davis, who is once again injured.
Don't leave. Everyone who's WWE wrestling fans, don't leave. We got a point to this. Okay,
we got a point to this.
We got a point to this. Chill for a second. All right.
So my question is, Luka Doncic, who I should point out is a multi-time NBA first team, already taken his team to the NBA Finals. He is only behind Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain in terms of points per game average at this age, which is crazy. And he's 25 years old. By all accounts, this is the cornerstone of your franchise that you could have built around for literally the next 10, 12, 13 years. So, Sancho, this Luka Doncic trade, what would be the wrestling equivalent to this?
It has to be so. It would be for me, architect Seth Rollins joining AEW.
Okay. Okay, but what does WWE get back?
Oh, who do they get back?
Yeah, it's a trade, brother.
I mean, you got to remember the beginning of AEW. I mean, that would be different. I mean, you would get to keep Jon Moxley, though, right? That'd be like the kind of the thing of keeping Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, because they didn't trade away LeBron James. So
I would say if you were looking at the beginning roster of AEW, WWE's trade is they take back Jon Moxley, and then the WWE gets Seth Rollins. AEW gets Seth Rollins.
Okay, I'm thinking. Yeah, we're thinking very differently here. I'm thinking AEW gets Braun Breaker, and WWE gets Christian Cage. Braun Breaker is clearly who WWE is going to be setting up for your multi-time WrestleMania main eventer here. This is the next Roman Reigns. They showed it at the Rumble with how he had Roman's number there. He's been incredibly dominant. This is a guy that's got it literally all. Mic work, presence, in-ring work. He is the future of your company for the next 15 years. Maybe even more.
Christian Cage is too low for Anthony Davis.
You think he's too low for an Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
Adam Copeland getting Edge back. Big name.
Championship.
Immediately, right? Puts you in a championship position. But you are trading away a 15 years of success for maybe an extra 2.
It's so bizarre to see Luka in a Lakers jersey. I tweeted it out like, what does this remind you of? And so many people said so many things. They were like seeing Sting in WWE, seeing Hogan in WCW, even people who were like started off as new wrestling fans were like, it's like seeing CM Punk in WWE. Like, if you're an AEW guy and all of a sudden, boom, this is kind of the same thing if you really think about it. AEW give away the franchise, or they released their franchise guy for nothing. Like, they got nothing in return for letting go of CM Punk.
Well, that was
Punk,
Cody, right? That was one of their founders. They let go for nothing.
Dude, that to me, I think is going to be the biggest moment in wrestling is Cody Rhodes going to WWE to face Seth Rollins. And the shout out to Seth Rollins for putting Cody over.
Yeah.
Like, that was huge.
I think when the years go by, Sancho, you know how like we look back at things and like, this is the ruthless aggression era, that's the attitude era, blah, 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 the golden age era. I feel like when we look back at whatever this era this is, that's the start of it. WrestleMania 38.
Someone said MJF for Randy Orton would be like the Luka and Anthony Davis.
Oh, that's interesting.
Trade.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Yep.
Someone said AJ Styles debuting in WWE is the same as Luka showing up in the Laker jersey. And you're like, ooh, AJ. I don't. Someone has said Will Ospreay traded for CM Punk.
Yeah, I mean, I see the comparisons. Very similar to what I was saying, except mine's going the other way around.
And then we have CM Punk in WWE for Sasha Banks in AEW. Like, in general, just seeing them in different digs. Like, I would have never thought Sasha Banks would be in AEW. I thought she's a lifer for WWE, considering like all the love and reverence she has for Eddie Guerrero and all that kind of stuff. So, but I think it's an interesting conversation to have, because I feel that the WWE and AEW, and what's crazy is Seth Rollins goes, there's no one equivalent.
I know, that's crazy.
Good Lord, Seth, talk about a big shot. No, it'd be interesting to see where that trade goes out for the NBA, but man, I cannot think of if MJF joined WWE, that would be I think that would be the equivalent for me if Luka Doncic showed up.
Right,
because MJF is such a big thing. Hey, here it went away. MJF is a big thing for that.
We're clearly 2 hours into the show. All All right, let's bring this home, Sancho. Let's do our new heat order here.
New heat order.
We did a rushed one last week. Let's get this going. Sancho, riff for like 20 seconds. I'll be back.
Okay. Now that Santi's gone, salty. Now that Santi's gone, is this a safe place? Because Santi could still hear me. And I know he's going to hate this. But I just want you guys to be open. What if the WWE decides, let's make a triple threat match for a title? And when they have the triple threat is Rhea, Charlotte Flair, and Tiffany Stratton. Let's just put all three of them together. A la Stone Cold, Rock, and Chris Jericho. And instead of like combining the women's titles for an undisputed title, they give it like a 2-belt Becky Lynch style. And it's Tiffany Stratton walking away as the 2-belt champion at WrestleMania 41, defeating Rhea, who would be like The Rock in this relationship, or who would be like Stone Cold. Charlotte Flair, who would be The Rock. And then Tiffany Stratton would be Chris Jericho. I wouldn't hate that. I think that'd be a very interesting WrestleMania match. That would definitely main event night one to put those three in there. I just feel like Charlotte and Tiffany is not there yet for me, considering that Charlotte destroyed Tiffany on the microphone. Thoughts?
I hated it. Like, why? You don't like? Why are you trying to unify things, Sancho?
I'm not trying to unify that. Did you hear me not say that?
Yeah, 2 belts. No, that's unifying. That's just a fancy way of saying unifying.
Why not? Like, just for like a why would you have gotten mad when they made Chris Jericho the undisputed champion over Rock and Stone Cold? You would have. You'd be like that. Who would have Chris Jericho beat Stone Cold and The Rock?
You know what's funny? You know, they unified the belts only to create a new belt like 4 months later. They would just do the same thing, and I hate that. Like, what's the point?
Dude, it's wrestling. It could be any point. There's no point to this thing that wrestling is. Why are we trying to figure out Cody versus Solo? Why?
All right. Well, let's.
So give it a 1 out of 10. What do you give it, huh?
It's a 0.
Oh,
it's out. Yeah, I know it's not 1 out of 10. It's outside of the scale.
Outside of the scale. Anyway, we didn't really talk about this. Can we talk about this real quick? Alexa Bliss, the new app. Stop it. the new Abigail DDT. Nice finisher.
I mean, pretty underwhelming match. I think it was great. The thing is that I'm not interested. I am interested in Alexa in ring, but what I'm buying is Alexa Bliss on the mic, and she's yet to be able to talk.
Yeah, you would figure that if your talent's been gone for 2 years, you wouldn't give them a promo.
And considering she made her entrance when it was during like the Tiffany, Charlotte, Nia Jax bit, I literally said when she's coming to the ring, I'm like, if you give this woman a mic, she'll destroy all of them. She's better than all of them on the mic combined. And then, nope, just commercial break.
Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. That's her theme. Dude, Death Rebel. Who had a bad week? Death Rebel or Drake?
Oh yeah, they both got destroyed. I would say Drake though. I would say Drake
or Patrick Mahomes.
Drake.
Dog. I don't know ever in my life what it feels like to be on a sinking ship like that. Right. Who's number one, sir? Who's tickling your fancy?
Ooh.
Jacob Fatu had a great promo against Cody. That was lit.
Yeah, that was cool. Well, according to you, Solo should be number one.
No. Don't do that. Don't paint that in my mouth.
I'm having a tough time, honestly, because this wasn't like a massive.
Logan Paul?
It might be Logan. Honestly, it might be Logan.
The Pulverizer. Penta was on the shelf, which kind of sucks for George Kittle, who showed up.
Yeah.
They put him on main event.
Maybe Logan this week. It's not one of those weeks that's just like, wow, look at what this person did. There's really not much of that. Maybe Jey Uso finally making a decision. That's big.
That was why couldn't he make the decision? Why couldn't he say, you know what? I said I could beat Gunther. I'm going to beat Gunther.
Okay. Do you want to say Gunther number one? Gunther forcing the hand.
Gunther obliterated that kid in the first row with his jacket.
Yeah, he did. They probably gave him some merch after that.
Oh, he wasn't sitting back there anymore.
They probably took him backstage. That'd be sick.
Yeah, they probably took him backstage. I think what happened was, one, Pat McAfee ducked. Pat McAfee
he did. Pat McAfee ducked.
He ducked and that kid got obliterated. Number one, dude, this is a tough one. I'm trying to think. I mean, Drew looked good as a SmackDown guy. Looked pretty good. LA Knight looked good in that match.
Yeah, Punk calling out Cena. Like, again, it wasn't a big needle mover week. I'm gonna go Jay or Gunther. Like Jay going over to SmackDown, being in the main event there. Yeah, just go Jay.
Let's go Jay. Okay.
What about number 2, Kevin Owens? That great car promo.
Yeah. I like it. But I kind of want to put him top 5. How about that?
Okay. What about Charlotte? That awesome promo on Tiffany. She made the rounds all week too, right? Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. I almost think she should be 1.
Oh, I already wrote down Charlotte Flair too. Ooh,
oh, well,
it's permanent.
It's permanent. All right, number 2's fine. Number 2's fine.
There we go.
Jay but Charlotte.
I love Charlotte Flair starting off like, oh, what's it gonna be, guys? Are you going to boo me? Or are you going to... I was telling people that Charlotte has a different gear that most other talent don't have. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes her stand out so well. Because if you think about it, does Charlotte Flair really... Like, the nepotism of Charlotte Flair works well for her as a heel. And she leans into that so hard, right?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I love the line to Tiffany Stratton. Like, if you want me to pick you, like, you need to get down on your hands and knees and beg to have this WrestleMania match. I'm like, that's the dickhead I want. That's it. That's the one.
And number 3.
This is where it gets tough, man. I think maybe this is where we put Logan.
Okay. Stellar match.
4, hear me out, Fandango? If we're talking about Buzz. No. Fine.
No one wanted to go like, ooh, I cannot wait to see Fandango wrestle. They were like, oh, I remember that guy.
Okay, He's still around? What about Street Profits?
No.
Oh, you hate tag teams, I forgot.
No.
You
Street
hate
Profits
tag
are
teams.
cold as ice. They had that whole thing where one was with Dawkins with a crutch. Come on, dude. Like,
all right. Sure, pal.
Wait. Sure, pal. Look at the New Day and how they've repackaged themselves. I want that for the Street Profits in a certain way. If they're going to be more, I guess, serious, there needs to have some kind of metamorphosis. It's not there yet.
Okay. Sure, pal. How about Jacob Fatu?
Yep. Great promo against Cody.
Sure.
I mean, it was a testing point for him, and I feel like that's where Tiffany didn't step up.
Yeah, Tiffany got hit by a truck and she did not get the license plate.
Right. She didn't understand that Charlotte is not there to play games,
Here we put Kevin Owens?
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, top 5. I said top 5.
Yeah.
Any love for Sammy? I feel like Sammy.
He wasn't even on Raw this week.
Any love for Carmelo Hayes? Carmelo Hayes had a match with Tozawa, got the win finally. No,
definitely not.
Any love for Drew?
Yeah, I think the Drew promo and him winning that match, that was great. In
that BFT Claymore.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool spot.
You know what? I want to put Big Jim on here somewhere.
Okay.
Solid promo and match. Can I put Big Jim at 10?
Sure, throw him in at 10. I'll allow that.
He had a great showing, dude. You sound like an ex-girlfriend.
9. What about? I mean,
any love for Bailey qualifying?
I was gonna say Pretty Deadly getting.
Yes, boy.
Yeah, continuing to get TV time, beating the tag champs. Sometimes I love heel versus heel because like them getting them rolling up and grabbing the ropes it just hits harder when it's against another heel. Yeah, Pretty Deadly's probably the team I'm the most over on right now in the tag team division, and I love the fact that they screwed up and called them the NXT tag titles.
I saw that too. I think I like Elton when he fired up against Tommaso Ciampa. That was kind of lit.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Cool. Number 8. Or 7. We have 2 spots here. My problem with Naomi and Bianca is this Jade Cargill cloud is going nowhere. If one of the biggest stars is injured and attacked, this would be a point that they would hit every week, and they just stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to include them here, even though Bianca qualified.
Like they literally put the tag team division had more guff and more animosity towards each other over someone lying, and they had like gotta go. Hey man, snitches get stitches. Like they had more movement in that storyline than Jade Cargill being thrown on top of a car windshield and beaten and battered.
I agree.
No movement.
No movement at all. I agree. I mean, we could look at Bayley. You know, she is making rounds. She was on Raw with a great match against Lyra. She is on an NXT, developing a feud here that's going to be in a NXT PLE on this weekend.
Bayley at 8?
Yeah. Let's throw Bayley at 8.
Why isn't that Jordan Grace involved in this build-up to Mania? I'm so confused.
In this build-up, well, she's going to be on NXT.
Is she?
Yeah, that's already been confirmed. She's in NXT. She's going to NXT. And I'm assuming Jordan Grace will appear after or at NXT Vengeance Day.
Vengeance Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it just shows me that I'd rather have Jordan Grace in the chamber.
Yeah, I would have liked Jordan Grace in the chamber too.
Right? Give that the muscle in there, dude. A little muscle hamster. Give me Ivy Nile versus Jordan Grace for the IC title.
Why not? Yeah. I saw somebody call Jordan Grace, especially like with her new hairdo, muscular Sabrina Carpenter.
Ooh. Hulk Carpenter.
Oh yeah. Sabrina Hulkenter.
We're getting there. We'll continue in the workshop. Number 7.
Proteina Carpenter.
No.
I kind of like Proteina Carpenter.
Protein? Okay. All right. You convinced me. All right.
You didn't hear it first? You didn't understand it?
No, I thought you said Bruce Teen.
No. Proteina Carpenter.
Yeah.
You see it. You saw it.
Why is your brain rot so good? It's like a sugary kid.
I got A+ brain rot, brother.
We're going to call her Proteina Carpenter. God. All right, number 7. Can I put Santi's app for getting banned on Twitch?
Oh man, I've been futured endeavored by Twitch for 48 hours. They told me to go touch grass, nerd, for 48 hours. So I won't be able
to watch parties for wrestling. Nerd.
So I won't be streaming NXT, unfortunately. So no come Tuesday. 7.
Any love for Seth Rollins? CM Punk?
Even then, man, honestly, I kind of want to say Ray. Like that match with Logan, honestly.
Yeah, that was good.
Why not? Let's just put Ray here. It's a tough week to come up with like a concrete 10, just because there weren't like those major story moments. Yeah.
There it is. Number 10, Jimmy Uso. Number 9, Pretty Deadly. Number 8, Bayley. Number 7, Rey Mysterio. Number 6, Drew Mack. Number 5, Kevin Owens. Number 4, Jacob Fatu. Number 3, Logan Paul. Number 2, Charlotte Flair. Number 1, Jey Uso. Speaking of Drew McIntyre, it's a shame that the Money in the Bank is not around, bro. It'd be so nice to have on his build-up to Mania.
It would have changed everything.
Add a little bit pizzazz.
Going into Chamber, into Mania, into Rumble, like all of that would have been made better if we didn't burn the Money in the Bank briefcase. Like I kept saying, it was a bad idea.
Jay versus Gunther with that looming Drew McIntyre.
Could have loomed in there, man. Would have fruit of the loom. Would have been right there. It's a shame.
Would have been right there.
Anyways, folks, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. As always, you could have gotten this episode 3 days earlier than everywhere else had you been here on the Patreon. And if you are one of our wonderful Patreon producers at the $15 tier, you get your movie night with us once a month, and you get your name read out here at the end of the podcast as part of the credits and producers of the show. So an extra special thank you for this episode goes out to February 9th, 2025 is the best day ever. Aaron Garcia, Abel Rodriguez, Ab Snake, Adam Pacina, Aiden, Akai is gone, Alex Regal, Alex, All Egos, All Fine Ass, American Nightmare, Cody Lander, Americ Crazy, Nita Max win, Antony Arrogance, Ashley Asperlitz, Aussie Kingslayer, Authentic Chocolate, Aiden Shun, Bailey Saunders, Beckham Dragonov, Ben Farton, Barry B Hostile, Big Shy, Blast Pass 64, Blue Bot, Bluefish, Brad, Brady Keaton, Brady McGlynn, Brandon Jamlin, Brian Ibarra, Bry Guy, Brockbuster, Bryce Bird, Caleb Lee, Caleb Williams, Callis Cavan, Cameron Noel, Cameron Talks WWE, Carlos Gonzalez, CB, Chase, Chew Poppy. We have Chimchars Collectibles, Chris Butner Lucas, Chris Eric Clark Jr., Christian Billick, Christopher, CJ Stroud Better Than Wrestling Is Cool, CM
Time out.
Puff. Yes.
I'm not sorry. Duolingo.
Uh-huh.
Is it with heavy hearts that we inform you that Duo, formerly known as Duolingo the Owl, is dead? Authorities are currently investigating his cause of death, and we're cooperating fully. To be honest, he probably died waiting for you to do your lesson. But what do we know? We're aware he had many enemies, but we kindly ask you to refrain from sharing why you hate him in the comments. If you feel inclined to share, please also include your credit card number so we automatically sign you up for Duolingo Max in his memory. We appreciate respecting Dua Lipa's privacy at this time.
Dua
Just had to
Lipa?
share it. Hey, that's what it says, but that's from the official Duolingo.
CM Drunk, Colin O'Malley, Colin Roach, conductor of the Pentatrain, Connor Hoffman, Connor Williamson, Dalton Dunbar, Dark Flame, Darren Dunstan, Derek Barnhart, Devin, D. Lopez, Dom Should Win Everything, Dom's Dirty Tendies, Drake Hughley, Drew Baumgarn, Dumsky, Dylan Kana, Eduardo Avila, El Joshi, Eli McNeese, Emmanuel Holmes, Aaron Thorne, Everybody Loves Henry Ramon, Isach Testicula El Cero Huevo. Nice. Fishing with Poppy, Fletcher Walpole, Floating, FMFCMA. Oh, that's a viewer on Twitch. Good to see you here. Forever Wrestling, Franklin L. Everett. Oh, was a viewer on Twitch, Sancho, because I'm banned. I'm unwatchable on Twitch now. Game Escape, George Valdez, Gilbert Deans, Goofy Goober, Grayson Swan, GXA Man, Han Solo. Heartfelt.
Hello.
Hey Shakes Hoodie Cam, I'm Rick James, bitch. Isaac McFlurry, Issa David, it's me, No, Jack Gibley, Jackson, Jacob Mueller, Jacob Pena, Jacob Staffel, Jaden Davis, Jake Shavoya, Jacob Kufus, James Brian Balago, Jason De Dios, Javier Rodriguez, Jalen Steele, JC Worley, Jeremiah Finley, Jesse Guerrero, Jahihi Ahihi, Joe Velez, Joe Romig, Jolly Green Giant, Jordan Lynch, Jordan Marte, Josby, Jose Ceja, Jose Santi's cousin, Josh Sutton, JR, Judson Daniels, Juicy, Justice, Justin Brooks, Justin McLeod, Justin Perkins, Caden, Kai Lone Star Jordan, Kuwaiti Rick Boogs, Kyrie Lawrence, Kyle Hanset, Lamore Maine, Leon, let me boo you out of the building, brother. Lewis Newlands, Liam, Lil Shifu. Come on. Luis Aguilar, Luke Parker, Luke Sika, Manly Man, Marnie YCSM, Mason Kirk, Matthew Dollar, Matthew Oberg, Matthew Watkins, Mekhi, Meredith Lee, Michael Purnell, Michael Paz, Miguel Paredes, Mikey Rada, Mitchell Harris, Mitchell X, Muhammad Albanai, Monte Moore, Nathaniel Stevenson, Neb, Nellen Zach, Nicholas Kyle, Nighthawk, Nina Ure, Noah Burton, Obi Nobi, Osama Awad, Pat R, Pat McMark, Patrick Mahomes crying, Paul Heyman guy, Penta deportation storyline. Bro, I can't believe that was a thing on Twitter. People are like, yeah, we should see a Penta deportation storyline. Like, no! Under Vince, maybe that would have been a thing, but no. Peter Novak, Pim Caw, Preston Smith, Frody, Puke, Punk Fan, Puppet Spanker, Johnson, Reaper God, Rhea Ripley lookalike contest in my bedroom, Ricky Marr, 1R, Ricky Dutcher, Ricky Starks Search Party, RKO, Robert Rogers, Rocky B, Royce Ruffo, Riley, Sam Dukes, Santi needs to play Fortnite. Santi, the golden boy who oils up on Sundays. Santi wants Sancho to give him the glaze. Saudi Rick Boogs, Scotty Barnes, Screamo Scott, Semba, Seymour Butts, Shaggy WWE, Shane, Shitstain Nakamura, Sips or Alberton, Scuggies, Lism, Slow Toke Rodriguez, Solo, I love you. Solo, fuck you. Summer V, Squirt Angle, Stephanie Vacar lookalike contest in my bedroom, Stucky, Sugar Shane, Super Malachi Galaxy, Tanner Cloudis, The Final Pebble, The Nacho Man, Gabe D. Thiem is a Dutch name that Santi cannot say correctly. Timmy Fitzmaurice, Toasty Boy, Tobias Burnett, Tom Lehman, Trent Head, Ty, Tyler Free, Tyler Logan, V. Charles, Vegan Penguin, Juan Pablo III, White Mexican, William Newton, Willie Cecil, Willie Festerbottom, Whoa JC, WWE Undisputed Dumbmaster Nightmare, Xavier D. Lewis, Xavier Izquierdo, Zax Mira, Sancho, for the first time ever in the history of Wrestling is Cool podcast. We, sir, are on page 6. X Deadshot, Zach Griffin, Zach Hewitt, Zach Butcher, Zay2K, Zergzito, and Lord BBNJ. Thank you all for supporting the Wrestling is Cool podcast the way that you do. We appreciate and love your support for allowing Sancho and myself to do what we do as often as we do it. We'll see you folks in the next fine, beautiful episode of the Wrestling is Cool podcast. You guys take care and be wonderful people.